Are we ready to do this? This is a big one, guys. This is a milestone.
Well, what is this again?
Hey, I got a funny story about that, actually. Travis called
Hang
me
on.
out.
Tell it online.
Oh, we're not live right now?
No. Did you catch an intro?
Oh, shit. I thought we were recording, though.
We are, but we don't just start our podcast randomly with us talking and then just going into the review.
The reason I hit record is because we have a post-credit scene, so I try to, struggle some. That's why I actually think whatever the story is could be a good post-credit scene conversation.
I was gonna use the Bionicle conversation for the post-credit, but
I'll likely put the whole thing.
There has been 2 post-credit scenes before. I've done it.
2.
Yeah.
Right.
I pulled an Avengers.
And what transitions do you have?
They just fade to black and then they go to the thing.
Fade to black.
Yeah. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Marvel Retrospective. I'm the phone peeker, Travis Snell, and you'll know that if you will listen to our post-credit scenes.
I am the time bomb, Taylor Field.
For some reason, I thought he was going to say Tyler.
I am Tyler Bridge. I am the first name. My first name is Agent Bill Muss.
I got where you're going, ladies.
I didn't say it very well.
Okay.
I'm sick.
Okay.
Anyway,
I'm sick and tired of you being so damn sick and tired. So this is a big one. This is probably our first milestone for the Marvel Retrospective because I'd say it's like this, Avengers 2, and then when we get to Infinity War, those are the big ones. But for this retrospective, this is the biggest episode, I think, because it's the Avengers. This was the movie that people for years thought could never happen before.
Best superhero movie of all time, according to the steel case. It's not steel case.
Holographic from case. Fandango. Fandango, I don't know about that.
Fandango.
But, so before we get into our review, Taylor Field, you had a story about this movie. But first, welcome to the retrospective. We are reviewing every MCU movie up until Ant-Man because we've done the others, so you can check those out. And they're really fresh, so...
If you're wondering, Ant-Man, are they going to do Ant-Man, or is that when they stall? We actually
find out. Oh, right.
Well, we did do an Ant-Man review. But I don't think it was a standalone episode, so it might be hard to find.
You can't find that episode anymore. After there's something that happened. So you're going to find it eventually. We're going to repost it. It's a long thing. Trust me.
This is the first I'm hearing about this.
When we switch over from Libsyn to SoundCloud, we lost that. Yeah. But you still have it. So
I do still have it.
But we are reviewing it's a nice look back. It's a retrospective, if you would call it, all the MCU movies to get us here to Infinity War. Infinity War is mere months away. It's less than 100 days away, which is fucking nuts at the time this recording. That's crazy.
I feel like you say that, and that still feels like that could be a decent amount of time.
It's 99 days away. No, it's less than 94 days. That's all I know. So we are going to be talking about the Avengers, the thing that really brought it all home and made...
And what about Taylor's story? Is that still happening?
Yeah, and that...
I don't actually know.
Tell your story.
I kind of got lost with the intro. It's a long intro.
So legit, I was so primed for this cast because it's Avengers. I mean, this is a great movie, and it was
the way you said that actually makes it sound like you've never seen the movie. It's Avengers. It's great.
It's
the movie
of a millennia.
I'm so excited to see it
so many times. I did just watch it before.
Before we started this podcast like Geek first.
Yeah. But yeah, so the fun fact was I knew that it was coming up. Travis was talking about it all the time, and then finally.
I don't feel like I'm all the time talking about Avengers. It's coming up, guys. I feel like I talk about more other stuff.
You have mentioned it a couple times, but I never let it go. It always stuck with me, really, really hard. So
stuck with. You can't not be doing this on purpose, man. What is up with this?
So finally,
you would love the strip club.
I don't know.
Side combo, all fast.
Hey, if you want to podcast us from a strip club, let us know.
So finally, the time came where I can't remember the exact conversation, but Travis was like, "Yeah, Marvel Retro." Yeah, a few days ago. Travis is like, "You know the story, okay?" Travis is like...
No, I don't, actually.
But you knew when the conversation took place.
Okay,
that was a fair assumption to make. Do you remember the conversation? It was probably somewhat recent.
I know the conversation, but if you were literally just telling that story on the cast, I don't know. That is not an eventful story whatsoever, and I know that's what's going to be happening now.
I also promise that we will eventually talk about the movie.
No, this is...
But not yet.
Yeah.
So... Eventually, we had this conversation, me and Travis, a couple days ago, and...
A few days ago,
and he's like, so Marvel Retrospective, and I'm like, yeah, and he's like, do you know what movie it is? I'm like, yeah, it's Avengers, and he's like, you looked that up. I'm thinking, no, I did not. I knew what movie we were doing.
I did not look it up.
But he was so convinced. You know, it didn't really pursue further than that, but...
Oh,
I mean,
really? Oh, man. I was really hoping for more than that, to be honest.
I proved my point that I knew it, and I guess...
Can you make up something to make the story go further?
You know, I was driving, and when I was trying to
Hit a
respond...
hooker.
I was trying to respond to my text, it just so happened that Trav was actually in front of me, jaywalking,
Oh.
and I had to jam my brakes, and he slashed my tires.
While the car was moving.
That would be cool. That's like the Mandarin, you know? He kind of does that.
Well, you know, ladies and gentlemen, that's why they say two's a party, three's a crowd. So we're gonna talk about that.
That's why they say it.
From the great Tommy Wiseau, who's not in this movie, but let's finally talk about it. The Avengers. Taylor, Phil, let's start with you first because sometimes you say you watch these movies right before. I don't believe you. So let's let Dylan and me take the vaccine. You go first. Talk about the Avengers. What do you think about when it came out, and what do you think about it now in retrospective?
To be honest,
Water.
it totally makes me appreciate like the Thor whole aspect a little bit more. I mean, I definitely feel
Such a random angle to take. You already appreciate Thor. It's
Yeah.
like if you didn't like those movies, then you're like,
I actually know where you're going with this, I think.
I think he gets it.
But go on.
Okay.
See, it definitely puts on like some new light onto like Thor and Loki and their relationship. But I definitely think that out of all the movies, this is the movie that Loki makes my pants scare off. Basically, like it's
Okay.
not in that way, but like
That's
Ooh.
why, but you're wearing shorts.
Hello, ladies.
so.
Want me to scare your pants off?
I think Tom Hiddleston
Get
is
back here,
just
Travis.
really good.
I'm
But,
slashing your tires.
No, this movie legit was just all the angles it took. I think from start to finish, it just transitioned flawlessly between the heroes, and I definitely like how it made Hawkeye a little bit of a bad dude. That was kind of cool.
A little bit.
But I think like Loki, just in general, I really loved how comparison to all these movies, especially after seeing the new Thor, it just really made me appreciate his character so much more. And the Hulk too. I mean, it was cool to see the Hulk because this is the first time since Incredible Hulk that it's Mark Ruffalo and.
It's the first time since Thor. Oh, I see what you're saying.
I totally feel like this is definitely a movie. I mean, it was definitely a movie I wanted to get.
This is definitely a movie. Welcome to the Marvel Retrospective.
Your feelings are justified on that.
They are.
Yeah, it is classified the best superhero movie of all
It
time.
is. I mean, I didn't buy the movie day one when it first came on DVD
Oh,
because
what?
Wow.
I wanted to get this, but I didn't have $50.
What is this for the listeners?
This is
The
the
dildo shaped as the Hulk's hand.
This is the
Wow.
3D Blu-ray 3D Blu-ray DVD digital copy and music edition.
And Taylor thought he was so hot shit when he brought it up here, and I upped him when I said I have a case that fucking lights up with all of them on there. And he's like, oh. So yeah, I completely
I don't
blocked
have
him
one
there.
at all, so
Yeah, well,
I
Dylan-
watch it on Netflix
Yeah.
or whatever.
I definitely do watch it on my iPhone a lot. It's actually pretty good. And it comes with a second screen experience. I should try
What
that.
does that mean exactly?
I think you can play
Robert Downey
around.
play around with Robert Downey Jr. He
Wow.
comes down and talks to you.
Second screen experience.
It'll blow away your
The
senses.
best Marvel movie
Oh,
yet.
it'll scare your pants off. Do you have anything else to say to the film?
I definitely I can't wait to get to Age of Ultron to get to that point. But I
Let's
definitely
fuck this movie.
Yeah, that feels like something you'd say at the end of this podcast. He's not even going to talk about Avengers. That's it for him. He's just going to sit here and listen.
Hawkeye. I like
I-
Hawkeye.
I put this movie way up there. I think out of like rankings of movies.
Like,
at the bottom
Don't-
of
Don't
this.
rank it. Remember, I have a ranking special at the end of this.
No, I'm not ranking out of the Marvel movies. I'm just saying like out of movies in general.
In
I feel like
general.
that kind of spoils it if it's like one of your top movies all the time. I feel like in superhero
Not for
movies.
Taylor though.
But you don't know
That's
where
true.
you don't know where it is in Suicide Squad. Right?
Yeah, Suicide Squad's a big
Squad.
question mark. I really want to see where Suicide Squad ranks with these movies.
10 out of 10. Suicide Squad. Hunka Hunka.
Slipknot, great character. I guess it's my turn to go.
Sure.
Avengers. Yeah, this is a movie that actually of all of these movies that we're watching back again. Some of them haven't seen. Some of them I've seen once or twice. But this one I've seen the most in that it's like most of it is familiar to me. I kind of know which scenes are coming up next, and it definitely holds up after all these years. I remember loving it when I first saw it, even though I hadn't seen. So Thor 2 is before.
After. No, it's after.
Right.
The only sequel before this is Iron Man 2. The rest were all just
Right.
their one movie.
So Thor 1, then at the time I I can't remember if I would have seen it then. I definitely didn't see Hulk, although it's a different person.
Yeah.
But I saw Iron Man 1, 2, and Cap. So it's a different experience watching it now, especially after watching all those other movies with a fresh perspective. Like, example, Thor, like that main scientist guy in this movie who Loki...
Eric Selvig.
Yeah, Selvig, as he mind controls him. Like, back in the day, I didn't remember who that guy was, or I had no recollection of him. So now I actually know who that character is, and I've seen his story, even if I don't like it a whole lot.
Because years passed for the making of these movies, but really in the movie world, they do pick up like right after each other pretty much. Like, it goes from Thor to this like quickly. You know, there's not like a big gap where it's like, oh, where did Selvig go? You know.
Yeah, it really seems to fit timeline wise, especially when obviously they're still like astounded by Thor entering this world and stuff too. And it all works. I think so. Yeah, on a rewatch, like there's a lot of like really like great scenes throughout this movie. Like there's a lot of awesome moments. I think on a rewatch, rewatching it yesterday, one character that I actually wasn't a big fan of was Black Widow. Honestly, there's a few of her scenes that I'll bring up later that just wasn't super into it. But other than that, every other character. One thing I forgot about is Iron Man and Bruce Banner and their
bromance.
I should have probably said Tony and Bruce, or the other way around. But yeah, I forgot about their, I guess, buddy moments, and I really enjoy those. I think those are some of the most fun things to see on screen. And yeah, like I also forgot how good the pacing is. Like there's a lot that happens in this movie, and it feels like a really long movie, but it never feels like it's dragging on either. All the action scenes are a lot of fun, and yeah, phenomenal movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like this one for me, I think there's a class of superhero movies, and it's the best of all time according to that reviewer. But
according to him,
I would put this up there with Dark Knight, with Logan, with Guardians, with Spider-Man 2, X2, Days of Future Past. We're not gonna argue, and then maybe for me, Civil War. This is in that class where if someone says, "Hey, that's the best superhero movie of all time," I can't say you're wrong. We can have a fun debate and say, "I like this better, this better." If you say some other movies, I could, as a a fanboy in a fun way, shoot you down and be like, "This is wrong with that movie."
Ant-Man is definitely the greatest.
Yeah, see, and I could shoot lots of holes on it. Where if someone feels, "Hey, I feel Avengers is the greatest superhero movie of all time," I can't say you're wrong. I can say, "Hey, I have a different preference." I can't say you're wrong. Same thing as Dark Knight, same thing as Logan. Those three in particular, those are the three to me that really stand out. As far as, even though this is not even my favorite MCU film, and I'm spoiling my rankings, but if you listen to this cast, you know what it is. But this is still a top echelon comic movie. I think this is, funny enough, it was the thing of, and I will be excited to talk about Ultron because it had that feeling of it was so great, but it almost felt like, is this the peak of it? And I feel like it's not, because for me, like I said, Guardians came out, and then Civil War, Avengers 2, maybe, but it was so good. It just felt like one of those movies like, they're never going to be able to top this. Kevin Feige's a great guy. He managed to find a way. But
Kevin Spitty Feige.
I remember walking out of the theater my second time, because here's a little swear I can tell some people that, kids, you shouldn't do, but I was a desperate fanboy and I had to. So 3 days before the movie came out, a copy of it came out online, and I watched it at home. I've hated myself ever since then, because I watched it for the first time on my 55-inch instead of the theater, but I just needed to know so badly if it was going to be a good movie. Because at that time, everybody, we've talked about this a few times, but this was the biggest one. Yeah, Thor, this god, oh, will that work? Oh, Robert Downey as Iron Man, that won't work. This is the first time you have multiple, not just two, not just like, oh, we're putting fucking Stallone and Schwarzenegger's characters. You have multiple characters, not even the main characters, just side characters like Selvig, like Nick Fury, like Black Widow, all coming together in one movie where you're expecting the audience to follow along, understand these storylines, and potentially watch all the other movies and not feel lost. And that's the thing, I hate that people discredit the Avengers, and I think that it's gone away, but after the Avengers, everyone gets this way. Like, Dark Knight got it, Logan's gonna get it, I still feel Force Awakens get it, where everyone loves it, and then it's like, oh, well, it's not that good. Avengers got that a lot. I'm gonna shoot that down a lot in this, but this movie did the unthinkable. Before this movie, no one tried it, because you looked on paper and went, that won't work. We can't make that happen on a big screen in 2 hours. To get all these things together, to train them to stay for the post-credit scenes. Like, it is such an accomplishment in this movie that, not even that they did it, but it's good. We've seen it earlier, just less than a year ago with Justice League. They did it, but it's nothing.
Yeah.
If Avengers was Justice League, it still would have had a hype moment of, oh, we're seeing all these characters together, but it would have been like, oh, but they tried. It was cool, but they tried. Avengers is that they knocked it out of the park, They ran to where the ball went. They knocked it again. They hit it, and then they ran back to home plate and got a second home run. Like, they did everything perfectly in this movie. And yeah, there's little things I would maybe fix, but nothing that would take it down a notch. Like, that's a big score. That's a big thing. Like, all the characters work. It's funny, this time when I watched it, like, in a review mode, I actually liked some of the Black Widow scenes better, so I'm excited to talk about that with there. Iron Man always delivers. I actually I think this is Ruffalo's best performance as the Hulk, because I think they kind of make him a little... Ragnarok, that's the way they want to go, but he's a little more comedic at times. And I think in this one, he is a bit more serious. He comes off as a scientist more. I like this version the best. I think Thor is great. I think Cap is great as... This is the perfect example of he is that kind of goody two-shoes, good old boy hero, but he gets you behind him. I think this one he's still a little overly, oh, you can't do that. That's against the law. Like, I think there's sometimes where he's a little cheesy, but Chris Evans makes it work. He is fantastic at it. Hawkeye, we'll talk about him. I don't think it was right to make him a bad guy. I don't think it's a great introduction for him. I think that's a big reason why people don't care about his character that much. I think they're starting to, but I think it's tough to recover from that. It's like first impressions mean everything, right? And I don't count the Thor, him in the fucking nest with an arrow as a first impression. This was his big movie. That didn't really work. Loki is outstanding. I can't even say he steals it because everyone's so good, but I think he kind of does in a way, and I think that's why people fell in love with him. And I think the standout overall is Hulk. I remember everyone just, a lot of people saying, oh, another Hulk movie, that shouldn't work. I remember Hulk coming out of that everybody was talking about Hulk because they used, not Banner, the Hulk perfectly in this movie as far as the scenes when he turns into Hulk, what he does, it's phenomenal. I think this movie is like I said, it's a fantastic movie. It is the superhero genre in a nutshell. It's one of those, if you have to pick the 5 essential superhero movies to show somebody, maybe you wouldn't show them it because they'd have to watch those other ones, but once you get there, it's great.
It's true.
Yeah, and I think there's some good stakes in it too. There's some it's very comedic, but it's very serious at times, sorry, but when Coulson dies, big spoiler, when Coulson dies, it's a serious moment. Yes, there's some humor put in there, but there's some very serious moments, and I like that with a bit of an edge.
Stakes as well, because this is the first time where, I guess in Thor there was a villain who had a pretty serious output on the world, but obviously this is huge. It really changes the landscape of the world that these movies takes place in.
Different universes.
And what civilians and stuff are expecting, or what what exists and what's possible.
Yeah.
And it really jumps up 10 levels in that regard in just one movie. So. And
it feels like that. Like that end battle scene is yes, it's lots of fun, it's visually cool, but it does feel okay, we've upped our game. Sorry, you can take a bunch of shots at me, but that's why for me, with Man of Steel, I could never love it because it was we're starting the first movie off the bat, and there's this machine trying to destroy the city and the world pretty much. You gotta build up to that, and that's why I like the movies that are smaller cases, but things like the Avengers should be those big things, Ultron, like Infinity War. That's why Civil War is just a movie about friends fighting, and it gets worse and worse and worse. Not at one point is Baron Zemo around I got a bomb too. It's that doesn't help. But in this movie, it needed it. You needed a reason for all these people to come together to feel like it was a life-altering thing, and it is for the characters, for the civilians. They know that there's fucking aliens now. There's all this stuff. There's a team. Captain America's back. It's a milestone moment for the universe. Actuality. I don't know where that word was going.
Actuality is a word.
Yeah, but I wasn't saying that at first. I was actual whole, but
actual whole.
Yeah, so that's my overall. But yeah,
cool.
Talk about it.
Yeah. Let's
just start with her. Black Widow. I want to start just because I want to pick out.
I guess I do really like some of her scenes, and I have watching this movie up until this time I was watching it. I still enjoyed them, but that scene when she's talking with Bruce in that cabin wherever he is hiding out.
Yeah.
I've always loved that scene. I think it's a lot of fun, and just the dynamic of and the jokes. How are you here alone? Oh, don't worry, it's just us. I trust you and all, and then. Turns out that it isn't the case, and I love their conversation, and her interrogation scene with that other Russian dude is pretty funny. How I know it's well written how she spins it on him, and then she does the same thing to Loki later. I think for me, I was just when I was watching it yesterday, I really just felt like it was Scarlett Johansson acting as opposed to me just being totally invested and seeing it as a character.
Fair enough, yeah.
So that was the only thing for me. I just felt some of her reactions. Or maybe a bit over the top or something, just maybe a bit exaggerated, and so it kind of took me out of it. But I still really like the scenes and what they were going for and the intention and the writing of it. I guess I wasn't a huge fan of the acting. Watching it again, because I mean this one is interesting for me because this is the Marvel movie I've seen the most, right? So it is the most familiar for me, and so watching these scenes again, I know what they're gonna like. I guess where they're going with it. So I'm just kind of looking at it, I guess with a more critical eye now because I feel like I have quite a bit of experience with it.
Yeah, I for me, I would agree with you until the point where I think where she turns it around for me, and it's where I do feel like she's doing some really great acting. It's the moment after Banner turns into the Hulk. And then later on, they're like going through the ship, and you see her like really breaking down and whatnot, and like she's scared. And then the second she hears Fury's voice, she kind of like snaps out of it, and like, oh, I'll go get Bart. And like that for me is some moments where it shows she's really acting. I think the character is used well. That scene in the interrogation with the Russian guys, that's what the Black Widow movie needs to be.
Yeah.
Like obviously months ago they said it's happening, so if it is actually happening, that's what I want the movie to be: is spy espionage, and like in that sort of sense of. She is always thinking a step ahead of people, right? And just these, we never really find out what this Russian mission is. She's out for some weapons, but easily in a movie you could spread that out. And I like that. I love the interrogation scene because, yeah, Loki kind of gets to made look a little dumb, but I think those moments did a good job of compensating for her not getting her own movie. Because I think if you take those moments out, and I think that's why Hawkeye suffers in this movie, other than some cool action moments, he doesn't really get to shine, where she gets to shine in both interrogation scenes, and I think the thing with Banner, I think the Banner one's more Banner stage to introduce him.
Well, she just has a more substantial presence than she did in Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
In Iron Man 2.
Much more. And she's actually doing stuff, though, where it's vital to the team. Or Iron Man 2, okay, she helps him out a bit, but this was like, okay, the Russian thing, whatever, but the Loki thing, that's a big thing. Yeah. She's fighting...
I mean, they do a good job of showing how powerful she is, even though she doesn't have god-like powers like Thor, or she doesn't have this... crazy suit, or she doesn't have this crazy powers like the Hulk does, but she is instead just very cunning, and she obviously is. Yeah, her fight scenes as well, like she definitely kicks ass.
Yeah, and I think it's good too. You get to see like the few little, even though fans didn't really love it, but you see the few little bearings of her and Bruce being a thing, right? When you think about,
they introduced that.
Yeah, before they get like really romantically linked, like her going to find him becoming the Hulk, chasing her. Maybe that's something that was planned. Maybe it's something that looked like, oh, we could do that. I don't know if it was needed, and we'll save that for Ultron, but I think it's, in retrospect, it's a good little setup for that, because it shows they have more of a connection.
It shows they have some chemistry.
Yeah, like they
all he obviously trusts her to some capacity after that scene. He goes with her.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
How do you feel about Black Widow, Taylor?
I think, after having her introduction in Iron Man 2, I think it was pretty awesome to see her story continue in this, and I think she was a good asset to the team. I definitely kind of agree with some of the stuff you were saying about how she was as a character. It just felt more like she was acting and not really being Black Widow, I'd say. Some of her lines kind of didn't really do it for me, like when Tony Stark's flying in and he's got... the big Jatari behind him. He's like, I'm bringing the party to you, and she's like, I don't see how that's a party. I don't know, just
I like her delivery
like
in that.
That seems like something that Barton would say, in my opinion. Like, I feel like he was the one of the two of them to be better at the quips, kind of like when she's like, this is like Budapest or whatever, and he's like, you and I remember Budapest like very differently. And I think that was a very funny scene. I think that did justice for Hawkeye.
I think it's tough because other than Black Panther, everyone kind of quips in these movies, right?
There's a lot of quipping in this movie.
So I can see what you mean. I could see her being better used as the straight man of the two, but she doesn't get her own movie not to be the straight man, so she has to quip when she can,
Yeah,
when you can.
But she did so good at portraying that straight character in all the other movies that she was in. Like, even
I will take notice. I bet in all of them she quips at least once. And when we watch Winter Soldier, Ultron, and we will watch Civil War. Maybe we will before
ranking. Does she quip in Iron Man 2?
What? I didn't pay attention, but I bet she did. It's just because that's the Marvel flavor, right?
Well, it's a superhero thing. It's a comic thing.
Yeah. I think it's more an MCU thing. I didn't like Logan's like quippy.
Yeah.
Nolan's Batman's aren't. DC wasn't until Justice League. Like they were pretty like cute bleed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna set this up as kind of a transition, unless anyone else has anything to go off of Black Widow.
No, I want to talk about Black Widow for the next hour.
No, really? Yeah. So I definitely do like her scene when she's interrogating like Loki, and especially when she's interrogating Hulk or Bruce Banner. I think that was great, and I really I like that part. She definitely did feel genuine as her character, trying to be friendly and everything, and her showing up there. And I think that how they had Bruce Banner react in that sense too, when he he apologized for it too afterwards, but he got angry, or not angry, but yelled at her, and she immediately, that was 100% like that moment with her. I didn't feel like it was acting. I felt like I was in that chair with her, like
In her
freaked
pants?
out.
She wasn't in a chair.
Yeah, she sat down, I thought. Didn't she?
I think she was standing up for that one.
Because she pulls the
Oh,
gun.
Underneath the table.
I do like how
Yeah.
she doesn't say anything in that scene. Like, it's
Yeah.
just her face.
She's
says it all.
her face does all the acting. You know, she pulled a real Tom Hardy, I'd say. So
Tom Hardy's about the eyes, not
Yeah,
the face.
he doesn't do the
She
whole
has-
face
she
thing.
has
He's,
get
like,
a
he's
face.
he's a very lazy face actor, but his eyes.
Yeah.
Whew.
but it was absolutely a very, very. I love those scenes in movies when they can communicate. Yes, like Tom Hardy does. That they can communicate with such
the
subtle
Predator.
things, and you know.
You should
she
have
did
watched
that.
Shape of Water then, Taylor,
Shape of
instead of
Water.
skipping out on us.
I was too busy. I had to rearrange my week. This
Were you
the
busy?
cast was rearranged around this week.
Yeah, but I don't think that played into you getting a face mask.
Face mask
Yeah, with the makeup.
with the makeup.
The makeup.
Oh no, that was booked for later that night. So,
Oh yeah.
and that was a good time. Charcoal.
Charcoal. I hear good things about charcoal, actually.
So, what was I talking about?
You did say you're
There's
going to
a
transition,
transition.
but you did just transition to talk more about Black Widow.
I was transitioning to the Hulk.
Okay, because
So-
I don't have, well, this is my best performance, or my best performance. That's his best performance, I think, as the Hulk. Like I said, it's less comedic. I think it's good, but it's still, I remember when I watched it, it's not Connie does a really good job. I just remember going, man, I still wish this was Norton. And I think him being in stuff like Ragnarok or Infinity War has more impact now because I know him. I just remember when I saw him initially the first time, didn't feel like it was impact because I don't know this guy, right? I don't know his Hulk, I don't know his Bruce. So, and it was a weird time to meet him for the first time. I think maybe I said this in Incredible Hulk, I almost wish we had a film where we could have met him and then Avengers, because I still feel, even on a rewatch, he still not necessarily meshes with the team well, and it's weird because not all of them have met before either, so they're still all meeting for the first time. So maybe it's because he's the Hulk. Did I spit on you accidentally?
Nope.
Okay, good. It missed you. Thank God.
Hit
But
me.
something about it, I think he does very well, but I think it sticks out.
I wonder if that has something to do with, like, seeing the Incredible Hulk movie first. Because when I first saw this movie, and I still have that perspective, where I hadn't seen the Incredible Hulk before seeing this, so that was my introduction to the character, and I didn't feel at the time, and I still don't feel that his introduction is, I guess, isn't justified. Like I feel like it made sense. He was off. He was hiding away. I didn't really need the description, and then I found out later that there actually is an Incredible Hulk movie because I didn't know at the time.
I think the way we meet him is the closest we.
I guess the other point is that it's a different perspective for me because I didn't go in comparing it or looking at it or liking Edward Norton's performance on it because I didn't know it existed, right? So that's just who the Hulk was.
I guess that's what I can say is the weird thing. It's not that it's a recast. It's not that he hasn't met the other characters. I think the biggest thing for me is it's still with any of these movies when you're recasting a character in a continuity that I don't feel like this Banner would act the same way that Banner did in The Incredible Hulk. But really, we're supposed to take it as he would have done those exact same things. And I think that's for me the problem where I never love him in this movie is it doesn't mesh with Norton's Hulk. I think the closest we get is to his introduction scene because Norton's Hulk was off on his own. He was trying to help people. He was being by him. He wasn't actually really helping people, but he was just on different places that were not America, hiding out, trying to keep low key. That's what he's doing. That's the only connection we have. Where the other thing is, like I said before, I don't feel he is that character, which I guess it happens with the recast, but I felt like they also rewrote the character a little bit. Like he just felt different. I think even for you, when you watched the Hulk, you said Norton's Hulk didn't feel that scientific, where I feel like they doubled down on the scientific route in Avengers, right? And
well, it's a bit different because he has someone to play off with, right? And
True.
It's a way because he can
What
talk
about
about
Mr.
that
Blue?
science stuff more, and he can also do that with Iron Man. So it's kind of developing both of those characters while also building up their friendship each other while also pushing the story forward and then figuring out how to find the Tesseract. Yeah.
The Cosmic Cube, as it's called in the comics. They don't call
I
it
like that.
movies.
The Cosmic Cube?
Yeah, I think it's two.
That's sick. I'm going to call my GameCube that.
The
Cosmic Cube.
So I think that's all I have to say on Hulk. I like all the stuff. I still don't like how we've never explained the "I'm always angry" line. It doesn't make much sense. It's a major plot hole in this movie, I feel.
Yeah, I would agree with that, actually. I didn't really think about it at the time, but think about it for 5 seconds right now, it actually is
Because
plot hole.
it is a super cool moment. When that happened in the theater, everyone cheered and was like, yes. And that almost could have played on at the...
Yes. Everyone in the theater.
Yes.
Not cheering, they were all just like, yes.
Yes.
Everyone just declared yes, and the hype was done.
Because that could have played off on at the end of Incredible Hulk, Norton does that thing where he smiles and his eyes turn green, right? And it left it with that ambiguity of, oh, can he control it? And that's where that kind of lines up. But it doesn't control later on the Helicarrier when Bruce just freaks out and turns into the Hulk.
Yeah.
I know they could say, and I think this is the way they do spin it of, hey, he was under such stress in that moment, it just happened, right? But at any point he can turn into the Hulk. I think that is the logical way they're trying to do it, but I still don't know. I think that's a way they kind of cover for themselves. I still don't know if it's that always angry line. I give it a pass because it's a great moment, and I think there is a way you can make it work, but it's still, when you really think about it, it's like, well, then you shouldn't have turned it. You shouldn't have turned into the Hulk and the Helicarrier. And the other point is people bring up, oh, maybe Loki was fucking with him because that's staff, right? So maybe that's why he turned the Hulk. So fair enough. There's a way you can explain it. It's just always been something that's stuck out. Like, okay, I guess we could.
I feel like there could have been a bit more care in between, like maybe even when he lands after falling out of or jumping out of the ship, I should say, landing, and then he just like cruises in on that scooter. Like maybe there could have been 1 or 2 more scenes of him doing something. I don't know. Maybe that could have helped explain like his mindset or something.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
It just feels like he's I'm always angry. I think it's just a good line. Like that's why you give it a pass, because it's a great line.
That's the thing, right? They probably had that was like probably one of the check boxes, like that particular line. They're like, I can't find a spot for it. You know what? Drop it right here. Check.
Yeah.
Go. That happens sometimes. I really like the I mean, we've talked about this Hulk before, I guess, but the CGI of this Hulk compared to Edward Norton's it's more animated. It's more like
it's more Disney.
It's more Disney. It's more Disney. That's exactly the word. And I personally I like it.
Yeah. I still like it. It's not that I don't like the look. I just like the Incredible Hulk one just because he looks scarier. I think that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
The moments that I like the Hulk the most in this movie is also when he's doing some cool shit. But when he is turning the Hulk for the first time with Natasha, and they really make it that like kind of Jekyll and Hyde sort of thing where he's like the reveal is great of just like you see him, he yells at her, you can see like his veins green, he's getting a little bigger, his shirt starts to pop, everything like that, and then he just crawls away, and as he's crawling away he's getting bigger. You just see him start to break the Helicarrier, and then he just turns around. Like that felt like a horror moment movie, and I think that is when he is scary. I just think that eventually when he goes to attack, he looks a bit more like friendly Green Giant sort of way, but I don't dislike the look as maybe Batman was.
Yeah.
I don't dislike it.
Just not your preference of the two.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the Hulk, and I touched on this already, I think he's used sparingly, and I think he's used right. I think I've always compared it with, it might be different, we don't know what's going to happen in the MCU, but I always thought this is how, when the MCU got X-Men, this is how Wolverine should be used. The same amount of screen time where you have him be Logan like Banner, where he gets to be, silent, badass, kind of a tough guy. But then those claws, you only see them for a few times, and he gets to do some really badass stuff. You know, because I think Wolverine doesn't need to be leading the X-Men, and I think the same way that the Hulk is, they've figured out this formula where I don't think we'll ever get a solo Hulk movie.
Wasn't it like a rights issue?
That too. But I think even if they had it, I don't know if they would do it, because I think they found the right way.
At this point, yeah, maybe not.
Between Ultron, I think works enough. We're going to talk about that later, but I think it does work in Ultron. I think with this and then Ragnarok is another example. They found the recipe for the Hulk to make it work, and I think because I don't know if the Hulk could. I think I've said that I think the Incredible Hulk might be the best story and the best Hulk movie we're gonna get, because it's always gonna be Banner on the run, right? Like that's the only thing you kind of do. You could have done maybe Planet Hulk of him like his perspective, but we've done that, right? So I think using him like this is the best way, and I think this was they did it, and people loved it, and they've never stopped, and I think it was a good idea.
They're going to keep going.
Mm-hmm. Where do you want to go next? Because also we've talked about a lot of these characters before, so it's not too much of don't want to retread it, but
Well, you should transition probably to maybe Thor since Hulk fights him.
you should transition.
I should. So, you know, that fight scene...
Yeah, Travis, you should.
Yeah,
what are you
Travis.
thinking, man?
Fuck
Transition
me.
to Thor, obviously.
That
We have the
fight
cue
scene,
cards
though.
over there, held by our intern.
Cue cards. Hey, intern. How's it going?
His name's intern.
His name's intern. I think that fight scene with Thor and Hulk was awesome. I think that's something that people are really like anticipating and kind of getting excited for. It really just you have two super powerful, super strength, amped up beings finally dishing it out, and they're in this helicarrier just breaking shit. And I really like that part when Hulk tried to grab Thor's hammer. I think that was really really good because this is the first. Outside of the first Thor movie, I mean, it was the first time we really get to see another like super kind of character try to pick up the hammer.
Mjolnir, yeah.
And Loki's not super powered, eh?
No, he is. That's what I said. This is the first time we've seen.
We didn't get. He tried in Thor.
I thought I worded it to include him. I guess I worded it wrong, but I meant to.
My favorite part about that is when he tries to lift it, and the ground is literally breaking beneath his feet. Like that's how heavy this hammer is. He's gonna sink before the hammer does. You know.
Hammer doesn't move.
It's fantastic, and he goes to catch it, just like and like
Oh.
they put that hammer
That's
over.
the soundbite actually. We
Yeah,
put
yeah.
that in from
Yeah.
the movie.
As they say in wrestling terms, they put that hammer over big time. So
They put that hammer over big time?
yeah, putting over is like making something look good, like making somebody look good, and that's what they do with that hammer. And I think with the fight scenes in general, I think they do a good job of you get them doing the big we're gonna fight a bunch of cannon fodder, but the helicarrier scene and then the forest scene with Thor, Iron Man, and Cap. They do a great job of they fight. It makes sense, but it's very quick. Where something like Civil War, they fight for a long extended time because it makes sense for them to be fighting. Right? This is just they're confused. They don't know who's on whose side. Thor is just trying to take out Hulk because he's a threat. Right? Like they make sense. There's moves behind them, and they're quick because you can't have too long of a fight scene because then it just feels like it's mean spirited. Like they really want to hurt each other. Right? So that's where I think both fight scenes are tremendous, and I think when they're writing this, if it was intentional or not, if they sat down and said, hey, we gotta make sure they fight at some point, that was the way to go, because you want them to fight.
I think the forest fight scene in particular is really good pacing because at first it just starts out with I guess Thor steals Loki, kidnaps him, and then they're talking. I like that conversation. It's a good conversation, and then Iron Man just comes in and just fucking hits him big time. And then I think after that, it's kind of they're not really fighting so much as like they're just showing like back and forth like no, I'm more powerful.
They're trying to macho each other.
Yeah, exactly. They're just flexing on each other, and then Cap pops in for like 2 seconds, and he's like, "Hey guys, stop fighting!"
He literally just throws like his shield at Thor's hammer and Iron Man's head. He's like, "That's enough," and they listen to him. So good for that. But yeah,
I maybe wanted a little bit of Cap fighting in there as well.
Like, I don't know if it would have fit.
I don't know if it would have going with like because that wasn't really a traditional fight.
Because I think that's why Civil War is so good because it makes that point like he has to do it too, right? Where this it feels like even as a last resort, he's in this movie he's not gonna fight people, you know, like he would keep trying to talk to them. But I love that whole sequence of them capturing Loki and then that whole forest scene, like just even when the thunder happens and then. Like, Loki's looking around, and Danny's like, what scared a little thunder? And then he's like, I'm not overly fond of what follows. Like, the lines, I wrote down a lot of lines, and then I just stopped, because the lines, there's some quippy lines, but the writing is just fucking, like, sizzling like goodness. Like, the lines that these characters have back to back to back, there's so many good one-liners like that I just brought with Loki, and there's other ones I wrote down that were my favorite, but I could have gone for days. Like, they wrote the fuck out of this. It's so snappy. It's so good dialogue. All the characters feel the same they did before. They all mesh well.
That's true.
And my favorite thing actually about the forest scene is the conversation between Loki and Thor. Because one, I think it's probably they carry the most drama of the film, those two, because the two brothers, they also have like a dramatic scene in the middle of a battle. Like, there's no quips, not whatever there. And that to me was the first time you really felt, when I was watching it, that this was a crossover. Because you have them talking about the Tesseract, which was not in their movie. They're talking about all this other stuff, and then out of nowhere, Iron Man comes and scoops them up, and then you have them fight, and then Cap comes down, and you're seeing all these characters, and even back to when Cap and Loki were going at it, that was the first time of, the movie's going along, but you really feel like, man, all these storylines are coming together, and it's working. Like, that, because at that moment, so much is happening, But because there's been 4 or 5 films before, it doesn't feel rushed. It's all flowing. It all makes sense. Whereas some other movies, it doesn't. And even I think Ultron suffers from that a bit, where it's like this is placed there, this place here. Where this movie, and to me that sequence really shows, man, all that paid off. And that's where and then it just continues to flow like a machine. Like it's just it's a flawless in its pacing. I think you brought that up, but I'm never bored. There's never a dull moment. There's never a time like, oh, this should be moved. This should be moved. It all works. It's all great. You have your quiet moments, your action moments. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know writing wise this wouldn't work, but I would just really love to see
Loki kill them all and
he actually does roll over.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the Thor taken from Ragnarok and that Thor just like thrown into the Thor that we get in Avengers, just to see.
You never know. Time travel could be coming up, so you don't know.
I think that would be so cool to see, like, because I feel like he'd obviously act so differently because the Thor is. In every Thor movie, he's always acting so differently, like he's learning more and more. But in this one, again, in Avengers, he's so just gullible in the sense that Loki, yes, you can be my brother again, and we'll go and eat, drink wine and beer, and eat food and come home, and Loki's like, I love you, brother, and then shanks him, and then Thor's like, oh, he got me.
That's not how that conversation went. You mix you mix them up a little bit.
A little bit.
Sentiment.
And then he falls for that decoy yet again.
Well, that was a good setup for Ragnarok, though, right? Because he says, "Oh, when are you ever gonna stop falling for that?" And Ragnarok, he doesn't fall for, right? So
right.
It's a good setup for that. This movie is filled with that stuff because these guys are so fucking good. And maybe they didn't plan it. I think they just go back and watch the movies and be, oh, we should pay this off, or I had an idea. But there's multiple times in this movie where I watched it, I was like, oh, that gets paid off later. That's a joke later, something like that. And even when you're talking about Thor, even the way they're talking to each other on the cliff, there's still, Downey makes a joke of like, oh, where art thou, wearing my mother's drapes or whatnot. They're very still medieval, Lord of the Rings, old-time-ish talk in this movie, where I feel like they eventually progress it to more like natural. Like at one point Loki says like, I put the Tesseract where art thou I can't find, like something like that. Like it sounds Shakespearean, and in Thor it sounds Shakespearean as well, but as the further we've gone away from the first Thor, they've lost that. Like they don't really talk like that anymore, and I'm fine with that because they've spent more time
around exactly. They're learning, they're coming to Earth,
Yeah. So that's Thor's great, Loki's great, No, I don't know.
Loki. Well, I guess we'll move on to Loki because I agree with you guys. Thor's, I don't think I have much more to say on him. But Loki, one thing I really liked, I didn't notice it before, was like that first scene when he goes to that base to steal the Tesseract.
Super intense.
He's like, he looks physically like exhausted in that scene. He really looks like he has like bags under his eyes. I probably also have bags under my eyes right now. And he just looks like he's exhausted, but he's still he's still got to get the job done. He's still popping off. So I didn't notice that detail before, and I'm sure it's intentional. And so I like that touch for sure.
Yeah, he looks like Schmeagol, like starting to
Schmeagol. Is that a combination of Schmeagol and Schmee?
Schmeagol, like putting them all together. The one thing I will mention is because this is a retrospective and we review the movies, but we also talk about the future. So let's talk about where we are with Thor Ragnarok. It ended, obviously, there's two things I want to bring up. One, obviously, Thanos, ship come down, and we assume that, judging by the trailers, it looks like they kind of kill a lot of Asgardians, and Loki, there's that one shot of Infinity War trailer where he's holding the Tesseract. One, I have to say, another great payoff of Thanos' little buddy there says, like, if you don't do this, like, we will hunt you down. Like, there's no whatever in the 9 realms where we can't find you, and we'll make you plead for something as easy as pain, right? And then he touches him and it goes away. So that is going to get paid off in Infinity War. I think that's where, whether it's them looking for Loki or the Tesseract, but they're really going to come back. And I honestly think Loki's going to die in like the first 15 minutes of Thor.
Really?
I think
Infinity War?
Yeah, and Thor, yeah. They're going to remake Thor. Yeah, I think he's going to be...
Infinity Thor?
I think Thor's going to see him die, Thor will escape, but I think the point was, one, that's going to get paid off, because they set that up, and obviously he has the Tesseract, and there's no... Loki, he can talk his way out of a lot of stuff. I don't think he'll be able to do that.
Against Thanos?
Yeah. So. The reason I bring this up, because it is a mute point to my second point, but... with Thor Ragnarok ending, Thor being like, oh, we're going to go to Earth, and Loki's like, hey, that's probably not a good idea, and he's like, it's going to be okay. I think because the character's so good, and Tom Tom Hiddleston.
Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston is so charming and he's so charismatic that we forget about all the stuff Loki did. And when I was rewatching this and taking notes, he literally kills a lot of people in this movie. But we physically see him unless they say, oh, they could rewrite and be like, oh, they're fine. But in that beginning, when he comes with the Tesseract, he's literally throwing knives into women. He's just stabbing people. It is that thing where you do, for me, I always forget that he's not, in Thor Ragnarok, it's like, oh yeah, he's just a trickster. But really, he needs to go back to prison. As much as I like Loki and I don't want that, I want a Loki solo film. But really, the whole like, oh, we'll go back to Earth, it'll be fine. It's not. Like, he can't, like...
Well, they say that he killed like 80 people or something.
Yeah.
And that's probably pretty close to...
And at least with that, though, I could, with the Shatari coming in, I could write off as, you know what? They found him and floating in the webs.
Floating in the webs.
Thrown in the cosmos. He was out there that said, you gotta do this, or, you know, we're killing you, right? And there's moments in the movie where it does seem like he's doing it against his will. One of my favorite scenes in this movie is at the battle, Thor is telling him, hey, he could stop this and all this. And Loki, like, considers it for a second. He's like, look at this madness. We could stop it together. He considers stopping. He even says, like, it's too late. Like, we couldn't do anything even if we want to. And then he stabs him and he says, sentiment, and he goes away.
Yeah.
But they do a good job, but at the end of the day, he just cold blood kills those people. And I completely forgot about that. And I was like, man, I love Loki, but, like,
He's no ordinary trickster.
He can't be on Earth. And I had already said for months that I think Loki's going to die, but I think that even more so cements it because storyline-wise, you can't find a way to bring this guy back who killed innocent people, who killed Coulson. So that's why I think he's definitely going to die in Infinity War because he can't come to Earth. Like, there's no way this ends with him being in
I mean, as much as we are always, I guess, raving about that character, eventually they got to start killing some people off. You know, they have a lot of people now. They have more characters coming out in these upcoming films. So I think he's had a great arc. Obviously, we're talking forward now, but throughout all these movies, he's had a really, really strong story. I think has ups and downs.
Yeah.
And, I mean, great acting all the way through and awesome action scenes. He's scary when he needs to be. He's funny. He's charming when he needs to be.
Yeah, well, I think bringing that up as art because I think this movie is a huge role in his art because it is. Yep. That's where he's
the villain.
Well, yeah, but even then we've seen Ultron's the villain in Ultron, and he doesn't matter, right? That's what I mean. Like he's there, but it's just like he's there to be. I'm going to destroy the world. With you putting in those moments, like I referred to earlier, of him considering like second guessing, like is this the best thing? That's what makes him a good villain, and that's what it carries over throughout this whole thing because you see him from even like he kills Coulson and he like shows Thor his blood, like oh like look at it. We're in Thor Ragnarok. You don't feel that Loki would do that anymore, right? So you see from Thor where he was misguided, didn't know what was going on, and this is like him at his full evil, and then now the rest of the movies are him like kind of transcending down. Like every time we've seen Loki, it is a hey, it is changing, and he's changing, he's evolving. And that's why he is just like, it is going to be a shame when they kill him off because we hope someone can take over that mantle when he does go because he is that constant of he's always this great character.
Strong villain in the MCU, which is lacking.
Yeah, and I do wonder, because we were taking this before we saw Black Panther, I do wonder, and I think Thanos is a 1 or 2 done. I don't think he sticks around for some reason. I just think he's so big, you have to kill him. So
they've been building up forever.
Yeah, so I know people like Doctor Doom, Galactus. I know, but those aren't surefire bets. I'm saying we have one right now that's always delivering, and Avengers I think is a big case of that because I think that's another reason why Ultron suffers because he's not as good as him, and he just bounces off all the members of the team so well. Loki, or whoever he's talking to, like he's just.
Well, I one thing I love about him is how dynamic he is, even in this movie alone. Because there's scenes when he's like all macho and he's like just got this super ego on. And
everyone kneel.
He's like he's like walking around like golden attire, and he's just like shouting at people and screaming with such confidence. Then there's also those scenes when he gets duped. You know, when Black Widow like reveals that she was just trying to plant for information, like the look on his face. Or, when the Hulk just picks him up and smashes him off. So we've talked about that scene before. Such a great scene.
Yeah.
And, that scene at the end, I forgot about that money shot there where they're all just, like Hawkeye's got the bow on him. They're all just staring at him, looking at him. And the look on his face is amazing. So I love that he's so strong in, like, those moments of being completely weak and vulnerable, but also in obviously being the intimidating villain as well.
Yeah.
And that's just in one movie.
Yeah.
So, and he's been doing that the whole time. So.
And that line
So
they give
strong.
him too is just the, oh, I'll take that drink now. It's just a perfect
Yeah.
Loki thing of like, oh, like he's making like a joke in at the moment. All these
Weasel,
people,
he's a little weasel.
yeah, all these people fucking hate him. He just destroyed like a bunch of New York and everything.
A lot of people hate that guy. for sure.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
hateable.
But there is a world where I would love him to survive and be a member of the Avengers, but
Time travel.
that's not gonna. Well, that's one thing I will wonder what's gonna happen if they time travel this movie. I'm interested to see if they go back to this one. I just have a feeling, and there's set photos and stuff where the costumes looks very similar to Avengers. Like Loki has the same hair.
The Thor armor, is that?
Well, there's a picture of Thor with long hair again. They're in New York. It's Loki with his like type of hairstyle. This Cap has the old suit, and I cannot wait to think about like why would they need to time travel back to this moment? You know, it's like and that to me could make this film even better watch or worse if it ends up being bad. But let's not kid ourselves. I'm sorry, they're not making a bad Infinity War movie.
They like we've said before, they probably thought about that, right? When they were making this movie.
Think about making a bad movie.
No, when they were
Let's
making
make
this
one.
movie, if they were thinking about maybe they were thinking about going back to it at some point, and so they made certain scenes with the intention in mind that okay, we're gonna revisit the scene or revisit the character at this point in time.
Well, yeah, and I
The
wonder is
storyline.
that a way where you don't? Because my theory is with Infinity War, the first one, I think it ends with almost everybody dying except for Downey, and Infinity War 2 is him going back to change some stuff to save them. And I wonder
Really?
if that's
Okay.
where you could keep Loki alive if he dies, but what if you get to him in New York and you convince him, hey, this is wrong, you could stop this all before it really starts. Like, I think something big
And then
could
eventually he
happen.
would turn again, and it'd be
Oh,
great.
of course. Yeah, and then, we time travel
It's
for,
the fluid,
for nothing. But
fluid villain.
Taylor, you've been very. I know you started the Loki talk, but was there anything more you wanted to talk about?
I think
The Trickster.
his performance in this film was absolutely amazing. As far as I'm concerned, he's definitely like my favorite character in this film.
As far as you're concerned, he's your favorite character. You're totally allowed. Yeah, I like that. I like the way you said that.
I think that from the moment he just spawns out of the Tesseract portal and just is on that pedestal and he just looks up and he's got this like, as you said, that look on his face, like he's exhausted, he looks evil, he looks happy, like it's just, he looks crazy, and I love that. I mean, that's everything I wanted. Like in a villain, and I was not expecting Loki to really just kind of dish this out, especially after the first Thor movie. I thought he was lost flying through the cosmos, but he wasn't. And
But the end credit scene shows him like walking up to the Tesseract and be like, oh.
Taylor's got stuff to do. He didn't stay for the end credits.
oh, right now I remember that. Yeah, he wasn't flying through the cosmos.
No, he was possessing Eric Selvig.
Eric Selvig.
Eric Selwig.
But I think that his just the character alone, one of my favorite villains of all time. I'd have to say, like he is such a good character, and I love all, like you said, his one lines that he dishes out, his responses, and the fact that you're right, his chemistry with every single character is just outstanding. It is a shame that his performance, not acting wise, but I think writing wise, kind of just drops in Ragnarok because.
Drops.
It definitely is underneath this performance.
I don't think it drops, but I think I always say it just takes a back seat. I think they decide to do more jokes than the Loki story. And even though I will say when I rewatched Thor Ragnarok, I felt a bit better about it, but I do agree that he doesn't get the love that he does even in this movie. I think
The movie was a different style, different tone.
that's the problem, right? I think they couldn't. They still could. I think they still could have found room for it, you know. But that's go check out our
Kevin
Thor
Feige.
Ragnarok review. Yeah, we already talked about that.
Well, I definitely hope that he definitely gets some kind of redemption in Infinity War. I
I
definitely
think
feel
he
like
did
that
redeem
scene
himself in Thor Ragnarok, though.
in Thor Ragnarok. Well, to a point.
I think his
mean,
redemption in Infinity War is saving his brother. He sacrificed himself for Thor. I think that's what happens.
He didn't really sacrifice himself.
No, I said in Infinity War.
Oh,
that's
Infinity
what.
War. Oh.
I think that'll be it'll be a hey, Thanos is here. You got a chance to escape. That means I gotta go. And
I
Thor's
definitely
gonna be sad, and I'm gonna cry, and it's gonna be bad.
I definitely feel like it'll be a moment where maybe Thor is kind of caught in this horrible predicament by Thanos, and Thanos is standing there, and Loki's right there, and he's like, Loki, there's nothing you can give me to change this. I'm gonna kill your brother, and Loki's like, what about this? And he just whips out the Tesseract, and then
Whips it out.
Thanos
Whips it
is
out.
like, you know what? I'll take that Tesseract, and I'm gonna just kill you.
I think there's a chance he gives the. I don't know. I think there's a chance he gives it to Thor to get away. Like, get out of here.
Get out of here.
Or maybe he uses the Tesseract to be able to send him
Whips out the
elsewhere.
Tesseract.
Yeah. I think that might be a fake out, but who knows?
Random question for you, Travis. If Infinity War does leak early, 3 days early online, are you gonna watch it, or do you think you're gonna?
Yeah, he's
You
gonna
just said you
he's
regretted
totally gonna
Avengers,
watch it.
but like that's a big one, man.
I can't say no because that's with Avengers.
You gotta know what happened.
With Avengers, it was just I just need to know it's good because
Yeah.
I couldn't. I was so anxious leading up to it with the movie.
Would you say worried?
For Avengers?
Were you worried?
Yeah, I was just because it never happened. Then I had a better experience. I think I probably didn't, but watching Avengers in the theater for the first time, which really the second time, I just went in going like, I know this is great, so I can really enjoy it. And I walked up and it's still amazing. But yeah, this one's so tough. Like it is. If there is a great, of course I wouldn't. But if there is a good, because this is the thing, I'm gonna be paying multiple times. I've literally thought that I think with Infinity War, we're gonna see opening night, and I think I'm gonna buy tickets for the next day as well, because I think that's a movie I'm gonna want to see right away, like again, to really soak it in. So,
Right.
yeah, I'll say I'm gonna try my best though to stay for the theater, especially with the podcast. I think to watch
Yeah.
it all with all you guys. So I will not watch it online this time.
That's good.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, but no, I think I'm gonna try the theater.
Let me ask you this: when you watched the first Avengers online, did you get the the credit scenes in there?
No, did not get those. So I did not know
Amazing.
Thanos was coming. So and there were that, which is so weird of me. But like there were spoilers online, but I didn't read those. But I read, but that's because I want to see it. But yeah, the post credit scenes were not online. So
Interesting.
I want to talk about Maria Hill, Dylan. I know it's a rat. I just want to bring it up because before I forget about her, but we brought her up like a couple podcasts ago. No one's like, who? I'm like, oh yeah, she's just some side person in Avengers, and all she is she's in this and Avengers 2, and she's gonna be in Captain Marvel. But yeah, she's a big character in comics, but in this she's
I don't
what
know.
is she?
She's cool, I guess. I don't. There's nothing really too interesting about the character to get.
It's
get
just a
involved.
meme. That's why I brought it up.
It is a good meme, but I mean, it's an interesting meme because she is coming back for a movie that isn't like just some random team up. It's
I
like,
think she'll be in Infinity War as well. I imagine because
Yeah.
I think every
Kill
single
her off.
character well, Captain Marvel is in the '90s, so they could, right? Captain
Yeah.
Marvel's a prequel, so
yes.
I think every single character we've met in Avengers MCU are going to be in Infinity War. So
every single one. Yeah. I don't know. I have nothing to say
I
about
know.
her actually.
Yeah. I think she's fine. She's a fine second fiddle.
Second thing.
Third fiddle to the Shield people. I'll lump them all together. Coulson does a good job. I think they do a good job with him as far as they have to kill off a character. They make it him. It works because you're not going to kill off any of your main six. So Fury is always good. There's just one moment where he's shooting at a door and he's just like, why won't these people stop going through this goddamn door? And he just keeps shooting. Like it's just like this little like Sam Jackson moment in the middle of this Avengers movie. It's just perfect. And yeah, Maria Hill is fine. I bring her up because she's a big character in comics. At one point, she runs Shield, and maybe that'll happen when Nick Fury gets her. Or Sam Jackson gets a bit too expensive, but it's Disney, so no one should get too expensive.
No.
Unless it's actually nobody.
Nobody.
There's no unless it's Apple. That's a bit on it, maybe. But even then, I think Disney still could buy Apple. Maybe I don't know.
I actually like Coulson more this time around than previously. I've always kind of, I guess I was more of an opinion that he's kind of just boring in it. Honestly, I think he is kind of boring in this movie still. I feel like that's what's part of the character. I feel like he's supposed to be like kind of a mundane sort of average normal dude. But
he's important to them because he brought them together, right? He's one of these.
yeah,
people,
exactly.
like,
And he does have some fun moments. I like that scene when he shows up at Stark Tower.
great
and,
scene with him and Pepper.
Yeah, and she just calls him by his name.
Phil.
And
First name is Asian.
he's like, how do you, what's going on here? How do you know this guy? And the trading cards thing. I don't know. I didn't think that was that funny, but like, I guess I can see why people would find it funny.
I really like it.
Yeah.
I
There
watched
you
you
go.
when you slept, when you were unconscious.
Oh, I would.
Yes. Different. Well, I guess that's.
Leads up to the trading cards.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. No, and yeah, it's a good.
I like that that weapon he finds and he just pops off on Loki. I like that.
So that's what that does.
Yeah, that's a classic line. And Nick Fury, yeah, I feel like Nick Fury, I never really have much to say.
He's just solid.
He's like a bare bones character, but he gets the job done.
Yeah.
Because it's Sam Jackson.
I think it'd be worse if you had something to say because it'd probably be negative. You know, I don't think Nick Fury's ever. I think Nick Fury gets some good moments in Winter Soldier.
Solo movie?
And maybe Cameron. No, he doesn't need it. He doesn't. Yeah, he's one guy.
I don't want it.
But I think he's always good. He's always just the same level, and it's something that it's not a standout, but I wouldn't want to be anybody but Sam Jackson at this point, right? Because at one point,
At this point, yeah.
yeah,
If they recast him now, that'd be weird.
at one point after Iron Man, there was rumors he might have got recast because there was like a money issue. I was like, what Nick Fury is, he does that to perfection. So, yeah, I'm always happy with him.
So, like, you said that he has that classic Sam Jackson kind of line. There's another line that I'm just gonna throw out where the council is making
Hold on
that
your butt.
choice. Yeah, the council is making that choice to do a nuclear strike, and he's like, you can't override our decision. He's like, I can when it's a stupid ass decision, like that.
Yeah,
But then I also think that, and this is where I don't give him much credit, where the jet is taking off with a nuclear warhead, and he shoots it with an RPG.
Oh,
How
right.
safe is shooting a jet with a nuke in it? With a freaking rocket launcher?
That actually sounds incredibly unsafe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I got the fix to this problem. Yeah.
So I don't know about that moment, but
But it's unsafe.
I definitely the other jet's going off, and even the fact he just whips out his handgun just because he can, and then even at the beginning too, when Loki's in the Jeep and they're driving off, the helicopter comes in and he just starts opening fire. The helicopter is going down. He just jumps out and he starts opening fire again. He's like, yeah, we got men down. He just got his men almost dead in the helicopter just so he could jump out with his puny pea shooter to not do any damage against Loki. I mean, that
Tiny
poor
pea shooter.
pilot. But
Poor pilot.
He's a wild guy.
I think Sam Jackson definitely makes these movies a little bit better.
Just a little
Definitely.
bit.
Even if it's a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It
Okay,
works.
Post.
Yeah. And then I guess we haven't really talked about Stark, because I don't have too much to say about Stark. I think he's just like a great front man. Also, he does get an arc of he has to be the guy that sacrifices like the nuke and everything. So that's good because they lead up to it a few times because Stark refers back to, hey, I thought I wasn't qualified for this, and Cap just full on calls him out like, you're never the guy that's gonna lay it on the wire, and he just goes, I cut the wire, and he's like, you don't know anything, you don't know about, like, that's the thing too, I'd have to show out why some people, because I've seen this criticism for Avengers that people say that, it's just like a lot of talking and dialogue exposition. There is a lot of exposition, but you need in this type of movie. I think it still flows well. It's very similar to like Iron Man building a suit. I like it, but I love the New York battles. That's fantastic. My favorite scene in this movie, when we do top 10 scenes, is the scene where they're all bickering, arguing on the helicarrier, because it is fantastic. It shows everybody
In the science lab?
Yeah. It shows everybody what type of character they are. Just like the way Cap is just like, you're just a man in the suit. What are you? And then he says like, Playboy, billionaire, blah, blah, blah. He tells them to put on the suit. And when I remember watching the theater too, and this was like a gasp moment, like that yes moment, when Stark says everything special about you came from a bottle. And it was just like, they're taking like in like real life shots at each other in like a character standpoint that all makes sense. And all is just like, and you see their point of views of why Stark would want to do it this way, and why Cap would want to do it this way. You see why Bruce, when he gets angry, that like, hey, they don't they said they wanted me, but really it's just they want the Hulk, or they're just always worried about the Hulk. And Thor with his fucking commentary and stuff, he's like, you humans, you're so petty and tiny. When he says that, I laugh every time, and so tiny. And they on purpose shoot it from below so he looks bigger, because really, he's bigger, but like muscle-wise, he's about the same. They use these great, throughout the movie too, they use these great like panning shots where it's all going, they do that one time with Loki and Iron Man at the very end when they're fighting and Loki's choking him, they come up on them, but it kind of does this thing where it goes into the Tesseract and then it turns around and it shows them, and it just shows whether it's them arguing or it's Loki maybe having some influence on them. It doesn't matter, and they all are arguing about points that make sense. They're true to the character, and just like, it's just phenomenal. That scene is my favorite scene out of the movie. And I just love Cap. It's like, put on the suit,
The pacing and timing of it is just, it's so snappy. And
Hawkeye's going around.
Hawkeye is always big going around.
And then I do like, before you can, when it blows up, Cap's like, put on the suit, and then Stark's like, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I like. I like how that, like, Cap and Tony going at it in particular is, obviously kind of like a foreshadow of what kind of
Lays the groundwork.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In Civil War, where those two are your head honchos, the movie cover main two fighting against each other.
And you just have like it.
I kind of forgot that they had like that bickering, I guess.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that particular
And
scene.
it just shows their type of personalities of like in one moment Cap's telling him to put the suit on, and Cap will not fight him unless he has that metal suit on. So classic like good guy Captain America, and then Downey just throws in his face just like, oh well, I'm afraid to hit an old man. Like it just shows their characters to a T. Like Captain America, this honorable, respectable guy. Tony Stark, this just piece of shit who's gonna call you out for some sort of thing. Like, and I do like Cap a lot in this movie because it feels different than other versions. Because I feel like he's a lot more. I wouldn't say. There's times where he legitimately just feels angry, and I think it's just because he just feels out of place. But when he's in the gym, just punching the bag, when he's in the argument, he disagrees with people a lot, and he seems like he feels like he's more right than people, and then eventually he accepts that he needs to work with the team and lead them. But I feel like he has, more so than any movie, a big chip on his shoulder, and I like that. It has a little edge to him. Even in Civil War, he's fighting his friends, but he never feels like he has an edge to him. This one, he feels like he has an edge because he's so unsure about everything. You know, he doesn't know who to trust.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what to do, and I think Chris Evans, I guess we can talk about him, but he's great as well. He carries the load and
shares the load.
Kind of shift. I don't think the shift happens yet, but it starts to, between this and Winter Soldiers, when that shift starts to happen of, one, people starting to really like him, but two, of him kind of being the leader, even though Stark is like your poster, like, hey, get the fans in, but really as the leader of the team, Cap takes
I agree. I don't love the character yet as of this movie. I still think he's a bit bland. I really like that. I mean, it's become a meme now, but I understood that reference. That's a great moment. But yeah, I still think he's a little bit bland in this movie. But overall, I do like the culmination of him and Iron Man when they do end up working together, and I think it does. Yeah, that opening scene is a really good display of, I guess how overwhelming it is for him, and how different and like what kind of world he's. And
it's hitting him hard really fast. He doesn't even get time to comprehend what's going on, and an alien invasion's happening. You know. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's like it's just times 10 of what even people in that timeline were already used to. So that's a good thing. One thing I had more on Iron Man is that opening scene. I guess his introduction scene, he pops out of the water, flies up his tower. I don't know, it just really struck me at like the quality of like the CGI in that scene. I guess comparing it, since we just recently watched Iron Man 1 and 2, but it just looked so good. Like it just looked like on point. Just every, like as he's flying through the city, every car and like every building looks real, and he's just cruising through it. And I just thought that scene in particular was really beautiful, and you can tell that like it's really all come together, and they're as they're making these movies, the guys behind the scenes, they're really figuring it out and how to make all these things look good and how to make these characters work, and obviously how to put these characters together, and that's what this movie is all about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a lot of little details like that, and this is just like that's the best scene so far of Iron Man flying through a city, and I think that's important because it's always cool to see that.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how what they say too transitions to the next character. Like when Chris Evans he's talking to Nick Fury, and Nick Fury's like, "Oh, anything else we should know on the Tesseract?" He's like, "Yeah, you should have left it in the sea." And that transitions to Tony Stark in the sea doing his thing.
Bottom of the ocean, he says. I don't think they say sea. I don't think he's a pirate, but you know.
Well, you know,
you just got shut down.
Everything special about you came out from a bottle. The other thing I will say about Cat, when you're talking about him being a bit bland, there were a lot of cut scenes, and originally when Joss Whedon wrote the script, Captain America was more of the main character, like kind of the guide throughout. And you can see some of those scenes on the Blu-ray. There's a scene where the waitress he saves that is on the news later. And it's like, oh, Captain America, save me.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit strange.
There's a meet cute that got cut where he is just at a diner and she meets him and they talk, and it's like one of his first interactions with a person, and she doesn't know he's Cap. He's just having lunch, and he's just like, oh, he's lost, and like just doesn't know what to do. That makes more sense. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, there's a few scenes where I'm like, oh, you could have cut that. That scene I wish they kept, because it is weird that they single out. It's not even the interview. There's so many close-up shots on her during the action.
Who is that actress, by the way? Where do I know her from?
I don't know if you know her from a person, but she does the voice for.
I've seen her in something recently.
Oh, I can't remember. People are gonna hate me, but it's not one of my all-time favorite games. But I think it's Ellie from Last of Us. She has the voice of the little girl in that, or the teenage girl in that. But
I recognize her face from something. I can't remember what.
Yeah, I don't know what from this movie. Do we have anything specific to shout out? Because I got a bunch of like little notes to go, which I know we could talk about. But.
I have something to shout out. Eric Selvig. Selvig or Selvig?
I think it's Selvig. Yeah.
Selvig.
I've said Selvig a couple times.
I think, without him, the Avengers would have lost and the Earth would have been destroyed. That's what it comes down to.
You just love singling out these fucking like solo characters.
Now I have
so
proof.
minor.
I have proof to back this up.
Back it up.
So Natasha
I'm gonna find out
Romanoff-
what that actress is from because it's bugging me now.
Natasha Romanoff calls him out saying like, "Oh, it's not your fault, Doctor. You weren't yourself." And he's like, "I like to think that I was. I put a failsafe into the machine. So without him doing that, the Avengers would have lost."
True, they never tried to just cover it like the Hulk cover with his hand, so I think that could have worked.
Do you think that could have worked?
I feel like maybe they added that because it's like, oh shit, now how are they gonna stop this thing?
Yeah.
And that kind of works. It's an easy way to do it because that way you don't need any other scene to build it up.
Mm-hmm. He could have.
But you are right. I mean, as the movie stands itself, he is very, very important.
But then without the Avengers, they wouldn't have.
I mean, but also if you don't have Black Widow to poke it, then
true.
The movie doesn't work either.
It also is weird how Eric Selvig goes insane, kind of nuts afterwards, when he seems perfectly sane after the events.
That can happen, that happens to Tony.
He was already pretty crazy.
PTSD. I want to ask you guys about Hawkeye because I kind of talked about him already. Like I said, I feel like he's a good character. Near the end, he had some liners, but really, I feel like he's not that fleshed out. We don't get to meet him. We don't it's just he's normal, and then it's like right into the battle, and he gets some cool battle stuff. I feel like like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of him being evil, Hawkeye, in really his first movie. So I think that's always. I don't think it hurts this movie, but I think it hurt him going forward, and I think that's why it's always kind of a meme, like, oh well, no one cares about Hawkeye.
Yeah, I guess it is cool to see him do some spy stuff. Like we see him kind of breaking into that place with Loki at the start, but still, like, all of it isn't really him, right? It's some distorted version of himself. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's when you look at this character compared to, I guess, Avengers 2. That's the one where with
the family. Yeah, big time. Yeah. It's like the Hawkeye movie, which is like.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if you compare it to that, obviously he doesn't even shine a light on what he became in that movie. And I mean, I've always kind of just thought his powers. I mean, what he just like shoots arrows.
You like Legolas though.
It's not. It's just not as cool as the other people inherently. He does some cool stuff with it for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, like the classic when he's like not even looking and he snipes, and then he has like the grappling hook. He's got all the arrows, but he also runs out of an arrow at one point. Then he just walks 5 feet, picks up another arrow. It's like, come on, really? Is that how you're gonna solve this issue? Is like he just had an arrow?
They covered that pretty good though, because he uses the arrow and kills the one guy behind him, and then he uses another arrow, and then he realizes out, and then he grabs his arrow back.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's tough for me because his power is nothing. For me, it's always been the character of Hawkeye, which I really love. He is in the comic books where not like they can be quippy, but they're not as quippy as the Marvel, like the MCU tone they took. He is one of the quippier characters. I've always called him.
Yeah, I guess it's curious then, like what he could have been had he just been part of the team and he was in that science scene in that lab, quipping with all of them hanging out. I'm curious, like what that would have been like.
I do think if
they could have made it work, obviously.
I do think if he's not, see that's where I disagree. I think if he's not bad guy Hawkeye, he's just not in this movie. I think he's just taken out and no more. Same thing as. Joss Whedon did not want Black Widow in this movie. I think we went off with Iron Man 2. He wanted Wasp, but they said, no, you got to do this. And then he made it work. But I think Hawkeye's the same thing, that if Hawkeye's not evil Hawkeye, and then turns, I think they're just like, yeah, we don't need Hawkeye in this movie. And I don't know if Hawkeye... I don't know when you would introduce him, because in Iron Man 2, maybe...
Solo movie?
yeah, maybe. But I don't think he... Nowadays, they can do any solo movie. They did Guardians, and they can do anything they want. But back then, I don't think they even could have pulled off a Hawkeye solo movie. I think that's one that would have been tough to get people to the theaters.
I probably wouldn't have. Yeah, I wouldn't have gone to the theater to see that.
Yeah,
in fact.
Yeah. But I would now. I want a Hawkeye movie, even though he's gonna die.
I have one beef with this film that I gotta put out there.
What is the beef?
So the RPG was one, but this other one is huge. I think so. The only F-22 they send to the city to fight the aliens is the one carrying the nuke just to blow up everything. That is so stupid. The council is like, oh, where the Avengers are failing. That's it. We need to launch this nuke. They didn't send any fighter jets at all. If they sent fighter jets, and the United States has fighter jets, if they sent in their freaking fighter jets, they could have probably turned the tide of the battle easily. They didn't. They sent one jet with a nuke. That's all they did.
I can say watching this movie, I don't think it's a con. I don't think it's necessarily dated, but I'm happy this idea of the council isn't back. I don't think I need Nick Fury talking to a bunch of faceless people that I guess
they have faces.
Well, no,
bodiless people.
I think I'm wrong. I'm 100% wrong. I think actually.
They were in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, they were in Winter, but they get kind of killed
they all
off.
got murdered.
Well, they don't. There's a few that make it out because remember Black Widow poses as one. Like they save a few, but I mean, in the sense of these big crossover movies, this is not a big reoccurring
They don't exist
thing.
anymore because S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't exist anymore. So.
No, I know, but that's what I mean. I'm happy it didn't carry on because I think what they need to do with the council got accomplished. I didn't need 3 other movies of Nick Fury always battling or Robert Downey battling with these people in a room. And it doesn't feel dated, but I do feel like it's something that could feel dated a little. That's the most thing that feels like this feels a little 2004-ish, you know, like it's fine, it works, they make it work. Sam Jackson's a good actor.
It's just like in a movie with all these other characters, you don't want to spend the time to learn about those characters, so why bother with it? You don't need it, right?
Yeah, and we don't. I guess they needed to set up the nuke, so I get that because you need to find a way. You don't really need to though, because the way that they beat them is with Selvig and Black Widow. The nuke was just we need a way for Stark to get into there. But you easily, I guess, I don't know. You could have swapped that for the president, but I know them. They don't want to make the president seem like he's a really bad guy because it's an American movie. So I get the idea of the council. That's what I'm saying. I think it works for this movie. I'm just happy it's gone. Because just even thinking about you bringing up the council and them like continue, I'm just like, oof, like I would not want to see them involved in Civil War or anything like that. Like it just feels that that's a comic book trope that I don't want, and I'm happy there.
They ditched it.
Well, I guess we'll talk about that Winter Soldier because I totally forgot they do come back in like a minor role, and they kind of just like that's not a thing anymore.
I mean,
Shield.
you are right though, Taylor. Like, where were the fighter jets? You know, they should.
Yeah, all that we saw was a couple of soldiers. That's it, and the policemen.
The policemen, they're just all.
Why should I listen to
shooting
you?
at,
I do like that scene. It's like, why should I listen to you? And then Cap kills those aliens. He's like, okay, 9 people in the precinct and 20 minutes. Like, that's good.
The point is like, you know, where's the government? Where are they to fight
They want to nuke it. They don't want to send in the fireplace.
That was S.H.I.E.L.D. that wanted to nuke it though.
S.H.I.E.L.D.
was the council. But I mean, there was no military.
That just seems like not even that smart because all these aliens are flying and they're coming from a portal, which are things that like you're not really gonna necessarily nuke.
When you say it's not that smart, you also have to remember that S.H.I.E.L.D. eventually was Hydra. So it's like, did they have some... Were they going to use that as a way like, oh yeah, you should nuke it for the safety in New York, but really it's like, let's
kill them.
Here's actually...
No, because this is... the whole thing, the enemy of my enemy is my friend here. I think even in this instance, Hydra has encountered these aliens for the first time, just like S.H.I.E.L.D. And this has a great impact on their plans. And they don't want to compromise that.
I don't think it's the first time because this is what's going to fuck you up. Captain Marvel's happening, and there's aliens in Captain Marvel. Nick Fury, they're all in there. So that's where it's like, yeah, and this point it was, but Captain Marvel's...
we haven't seen Captain Marvel.
But I'm saying they've dealt with aliens before, and I still think that little portal thing, if a nuke hits it, that would also close it as well. I think they did the safe way of using the...
I don't think so, because it's got that energy made up of the Tesseract.
But you don't know so.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But I'm saying Hydra would be like, oh yeah, Hydra the bad guys be like, oh yeah, they'll be fine. That'll close it.
But
I'm saying that's why yes, it's a stupid move, but you can still chalk it up to like this is a shady organization that turn out to be bad guys. Like at least 50-50 of them are bad guys.
So you think it was a shot of them trying to kill the Avengers?
No, not at all. They didn't know what the Avengers were. I think it's completely, they just wanted to destroy the aliens, and it's classic, like, stupid government. I'm saying, you could spin it,
Only with Captain Marvel coming out now. If Captain Marvel wasn't coming out, then it wouldn't work that way.
I could still spin it of, like, okay, we got our chance to take out New York, and hopefully this kills these aliens, so.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So that's what you can do. That actress was from Blind Spot. I figured out.
Oh, there you go.
That's why I recognized her. And that's why I didn't recognize her. I only watched half of that show, and it wasn't really that good.
You really liked it when it started.
I liked the first, like...
And Lady
episodes.
Sif is in there too.
Emily Sif?
Lady Sif from Thor.
Yeah, I know, she's the main
Yeah.
person.
Lots of Marvel.
It was an alright show, and then it wasn't. And
Check
then I
out the
stopped
Blind
watching.
Spot Retrospective.
It's coming. Did that show ever get a, did that show ever get a season 2?
Yeah, I think it's really popular. Right now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
The normies like it.
Yeah. Taylor, you were going somewhere, you were like, and then Dylan rudely cut you off.
I was gonna say,
I don't
why
think
do
there's
they
that
have the helicarrier in the water in the first place? Is that just to be like cool?
Just to gas up?
Just to gas up?
Well, just because it's more viable to, get
Save
people
some energy.
onto that as opposed to get them into
Drop
an
them
invisible
off.
flying aircraft.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
But the whole rest of the movie is them flying around though. And
But
they have
how come
people
airplanes
flying to
start
it.
on the ground? They have to pick people up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
There you go.
Imagine
But-
if you had to get on a plane and go to Vancouver, and you had to get on the plane when it was in the air. Wouldn't
Well,
that be tricky?
Why would I fly to the helicarrier in the water and then the helicarrier flies in
No,
the
but
air?
you drive to the airport, right?
Why am I gonna drive the helicarrier when it's on the water?
You know what?
But
I
you
think
drive to the dock and you get on that.
I think the real answer is
but it
because
wasn't at the time.
it
But-
uses less fuel to
Yeah.
float about as opposed to flying a plane.
No, the real answer was for the normies to be like, it's a big boat, and the same reason Captain America
Because
would be like,
normies are getting
give
called
them
out.
$10, like, oh, that's something I haven't seen. But like, I don't think something that can fly should be flying all the time.
Okay, I got a counter for you. Okay, so
Why is it such a big-
okay, so in the Winter Soldier,
Winter Soldier.
Nick Fury is so happy to announce that these helicarriers, once they go up, they never have to come down. They fly all the
Yeah,
time.
and how did that go? They ended up all being destroyed because it was not a good idea.
No, it was a good idea. It was just Hydra was screwing
Hydra.
around.
It wasn't a good
It was
idea.
a good idea.
No, Nick Fury's idea was to monitor everybody and to have the ability to kill anybody at a
That's a
moment.
good idea.
We
If
in
they
that
could've-
movie, you see why it's not a good idea. Say that for Winter Soldier.
No,
The movie literally ends with Hydra hacking these machines and getting them to kill
Because
innocent
it's
people.
Hydra, it's bad.
Oh,
But
God.
hey, it was made for
Oh,
good
God.
intentions. They could have killed Baron whatever, Ego.
Baron
or-
Baron Eagle? You just compared two Marvel movies. Baron
I
Eagle.
like how you called him Baron, dude.
They could have killed
Ruvon.
Zemo before he did anything bad. And then they could have killed
Colleen.
Ultron too. Ultron would have been dead before.
No, that's not how that works. Ultron was the thing in Tony Stark's mind that he created.
Yeah, but he was a robot. They could have killed with the helicarrier.
Or Ultron would have just hacked into them and taken them over, just like Hydra.
No. Hydra was in their
No.
systems.
Ultron hacks and takes over stuff all the time in Ultron. He literally creates vision.
I'd like to see a movie where he hacks the helicarrier.
Well, he's dead, so I don't think it's gonna happen. Please don't bring Ultron back.
Attack the helicopter.
We'll get to that. We'll get to Avengers 2 eventually. Any major points to shout out here?
Well, I think it's worthy of noting that ending fighting scene is so awesome. Seeing them, obviously, that pan shot of all of them standing in a circle. And I love, I think it's Iron Man who tells them all, where to go and what the plan is.
Mhm.
Who does that
He
again?
says Cap, call it, and he lets Cap
Right,
take over,
yeah.
and Cap says, you do that, and then
I think they do a good job of not like avoid. I think some people, like some casual people were like, what are Black Widow and Hawkeye doing here? Like these guys are so weak compared to the others. But I think I feel like they kind of address that in these movies,
Mhm.
and that they all have different strengths. And yes, some are wildly stronger than the others, but I still think they all have their purpose, and they can all. Like, Hawkeye, you're gonna scout out the patterns. That's what you're gonna do, man.
Yeah.
And he's probably pretty good at that. He has good eyes. And
he's
stuff.
always in his nest.
And Black Widow's down on the ground fighting people. Captain America's fighting people on
They
the
do that
ground.
cool thing when they shoot
Showing to the people on the streets that they have heroes and that they're right there with them. They're right there alongside them, helping out.
Yeah.
So I really, obviously, that's just such a awesome fight scene. I love Hulk just cruising around, destroying buildings and destroying those giant flying thingamajigs. It's just awesome.
Oh, the classic
Awesome action.
Hulk punching Thor at the end of it.
Yes,
So,
it's a
Yeah, like
nice touch.
I can say that argument's my favorite scene, but this is just right up there. Like this was the airport before the airport happened. Just seeing all this shit go down, heroes being cool, kicking ass, taking names, taking ass,
Taking ass,
kicking names,
kicking names.
Yeah, and I thought there was another point I had about that, but I don't.
Remember it not?
No.
Do you have another point about that, Taylor?
I like that fight scene at the end with the chemistry between Jarvis and Tony Stark. I think, out of all the times that I've seen the two, they have good chemistry in this moment where he's like...
Have you ever seen Jarvis?
yeah, he's Vision.
Spoiler.
I guess.
But I like the part where he starts opening up his laser and Jarvis is like, your suit will run out of power before you penetrate that armor, and then he's like, Jarvis, you know the story of Jonah? And he's like, I don't think that's an appropriate role model, sir, or something like that. I like that balance between the two. It's very good.
The thing I remember is that like when Hawkeye shoots Loki with the arrow and Loki catches like all cocky, like, oh, you thought you were gonna hit me, and then the thing fucking explodes in his face. Fantastic. I will say
the classic Hawkeye misdirection. Which arrow am I shooting?
Yeah. I will say this is a world that has a green monster, aliens invading, Captain America, Thor, the god of thunder, which I didn't realize the other day he should be the god of lightning because thunder just makes no noise, but that's alright. The thing that I still can't buy, maybe the most out of all this, is when in the middle of that argument, Hawkeye's going around, he's taking over this base, he has an arrow, he shoots it that has the exact socket as like this computer terminal. So he shoots it in a computer terminal, it splits it into two, and it goes into the power wall sockets, and then he can start hacking the computers. The most unbelievable thing in this movie that every time I still see him, like, that's stupid. Like, I can get past all this stuff and everyone's like, that's fucking dumb. They should have found a different way. It's literally...
I just pictured him, like, in the, like, armory, like, picking out what arrows he's gonna equip with, and he's like, you know what, I always like to bring one or two of
I'm
these.
gonna need this one.
He has, like, a few that has, like, one with, like, different USBs, like, oh, I gotta bring a micro USB, you never know when that will come.
Anyone need a charger? Oh, here you go.
Iron Man's gonna charge his phone.
That's why we bring Hawkeye. He's the glue and he charges our shit.
Would have been more realistic for you in the sense if he shot 3 arrows into one to land in each plug.
I think if you shot I think if you shot a bunch of mini arrows that all like fit actually into the sockets themselves.
Because what do they actually take on that ship? They get Loki back, but when they do the hacking of the computer...
Oh, they were just trying to shut down the propellers.
Oh, yeah. They should have just shot a bomb in the fucking propellers.
Yeah,
like,
they
didn't need the wall socket. I know, but then they didn't need the wall socket
That's
thing.
true.
Yeah. And the other...
I guess it shuts down their communication.
The only thing I hate about that battle, that I think that propeller scene, like, it's a good like little action break. I think the Hulk and Thor stuff's better. The only thing I don't like is at one point Captain America has a gun and he's just like
I don't like the gun.
Yeah, what?
I don't like the gun.
It's fine with the gun. I just don't like that. That's what he's resorting to. My cat would jump down there and start beating guys up, but he's just like, and there's just like this 30-second battle of like him shooting and he ducks, and then the bad guy shoots. It's like that was not thought out well. Like that's the only thing that I point out. I was like, that was not a good scene. Like them shooting each other. It's the same thing in Justice League. Like Batman's fighting a parademon over a gun. It's like anytime you have your heroes just like fighting over or fighting with guns, it's like. Just have him throws. All you need to do, throw the fucking shield you caught.
I don't think he throws the shield enough in this movie.
No, it doesn't, and that's why. Look at Indiana Jones. There's a classic scene where Harrison Ford, of course, was really tired one day, and they choreographed this big fight scene with swords. And it's a classic scene of the guy where he's running on the sword, and Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, takes out his gun and he shoots him, and he puts it back in. It's a classic moment. The reason that happens is because Harrison Ford, I don't want to shoot this scene. And they're like, well, what should we do? Well, Indy has a gun, he never uses it, so he should use his gun now. And it's a classic scene. You could have chopped those 30 to 45 seconds of this cat going and getting it back. You didn't need this stupid gunfight that happens, you know? So that's just something that always bugs me.
Another shout out, I love the Iron Man shooting his lasers off of Cap's shield. It's just like a very quick little, it's kind of like in the background even, but it's a nice touch.
Yeah.
Nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good.
I have some quick notes and stuff like that. Of
Go
course.
for 'em.
I got a lot of good lines, but I love at one point when Loki says, does an ant have a quarrel with a boot? And then Sam Jackson goes, are you planning to step on us? But like that line of just like this, an ant have a quarrel with a boot. It just perfectly shows of like, well, yeah, because that boot doesn't mean any harm, but it's going to kill this ant, right? Like it's just walking. It's just being a boot, you know?
Being a boot.
I like that's the way he puts it. Black Widow, I like the line when he says, oh, Black Widow, the Russian guy's like, oh, Black Widow, just a pretty face. And she goes, you think I'm pretty? Like, I like the little, the
creme nop. It's creme nop. It's a classic creme nop is what it is.
I don't know, the machismo Black Widow, you know, the
moldy cheese.
There's a word I really want to use, I can't think of it. It's not crass.
The escargot. I don't know what you're trying to say, so I'm just throwing random words.
I like Loki's scene when he does get everyone to kneel. And there's a few things I like when Captain America, of course, has this cheesy line when he hits down. And he's like, last time I was in Germany and a lot of people were kneeling down in front of a guy, we had a disagreement. It's just like classic Captain America. Just like
He really lays it out.
yeah, and I actually, for something that could have been cheesy, something like, and I'm using Justice League a lot because I actually just watched it last week, but movies do this all the time. When they focus on a civilian or human and get that perspective, it's usually pretty cheesy. I like when that guy stands up in the middle of Loki's speech and he's just like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm standing up to you, and he's like, and he's standing up to evil, and then Loki says like, somebody
we won't kneel to men like you.
Yeah.
It's like there are no men like me. There are always men like you.
Yeah, it's such whoever they did a good job of finding that extra. I'm really
Bring
mad.
that guy back.
I'm really mad.
Bring that guy back.
I-
Give him a solo movie.
in Infinity War.
Yeah.
I'm really mad. I was setting that up.
Give
and
him
then
a solo movie in
yeah.
Infinity War.
I was setting that up to do that quote, and Taylor just took the quotes right from me. So fuck Taylor Field.
Yeah, I didn't feel like you were hitting the
I was
nail on the
about
head.
to get there.
You were saying everything except
Your delivery
for-
was way off, Travis.
Because there's
Taylor's here to save the day.
There's still a point where
Suck
he's still talking about like you were meant to be ruled and you all should kneel and everything. You didn't let me finish.
That
it.
was before he talks to the old guy.
Yeah, because it's
You were
before.
already talking about what the old guy was saying.
No, I wasn't. I was talking about what Loki said after. Doesn't matter.
Wow.
Either way, I was gonna say it. Maybe I messed up some of the quotes, but that's about it. For some reason, we just shout this out. Cap at one point when he does a spin kick and he says, "Not today." I do that all the time in my life when I do something.
All the time.
Yeah, it's just
Spin kick?
it's like some classic Captain America, Chris Evans, like 80-yard
Every
line.
morning you do that to like wake yourself up in the morning.
Not today.
Get your alarm
Not
and then-
today.
Yeah.
Not today. Let's
today.
see. I think I've brought up pretty much everything now. That's usually how it goes, but
I guess we could mention the Stanley cameo, which is a
Hoax.
hoax. It's a hoax.
Aliens in New York? You gotta be kidding me.
yeah, it's good. It's not one of the greatest ones, but
Definitely in a lower echelon. For
it
sure.
it felt like they couldn't find a moment to add Stanley, so like, we'll put him in the
He should have been that old man standing up to Loki.
No,
yes.
No, that took me out of it.
Excelsior.
I forgot to say that too at the beginning of this, guys. The past 3 Marvel retros I've completely forgot.
I like
to
that
say
he was
Excelsior.
playing chess. You know, chess is one of the greatest games of all time.
I like Coulson and Cap scenes a lot. I think Dylan, you said that you didn't find that funny. I found them quite funny, so I
I liked them more than I was expecting, but
Okay.
I think he's still purposely like a kind of a boring character.
Another line. This is why, once again, I think Cap America they do great with these lines. It's when they're on the helicarrier for the first time. It's Bruce, Natasha, and Cap, and
Mr. Cap.
and they're talking back and forth. Taylor's gonna try and steal it from
It's
me.
called a conversation.
They're talking back and forth. Yeah, they're having a conversation, and
And
they
then
Natasha says
nextly
Natasha introduces Bruce to Cap and says, this guy's going to help us to find the Tesseract.
the test.
And then Bruce is like, oh, is that the only word you've heard about me? And Captain America, in the line that shows exactly 100% Captain America, shakes hand and says, that's the only word I care about, sir. And it's perfect, because you know he knows he's a big fucking green monster, and not like Stark who's literally poking him with stuff. Captain America's just like, that's all I care about. You're here to help us.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Captain America's the fucking man.
Captain
Oh,
America.
you remind me of something huge. Like
They're always been like you.
So now they say that Samuel Jackson said that Bruce Banner was trying to replicate the serum that made Captain America.
Yeah, I don't know. That's some.
That doesn't seem legit.
No,
Someone's-
I didn't have my notes, but I thought about that exact same thing this time watching. When he's like, "Oh yeah, this is a guy who tried to replicate that." It's like I didn't get the vibe that's what they were doing.
No.
in Incredible Hulk. I felt like he was kind of against that, especially because like he's so against like Thunderbolt Ross using it as a weapon. And it's like, well, Captain America was good, but he was still a weapon. Like
Yeah.
that's where that didn't add up at all.
No.
So I think they just like, man, Bruce like, what I did? Oh, Edward Norton was into some weird stuff. How do you guys feel? Because obviously it's changed. This is my thing. How do you feel about Cap's suit? Because they completely ran away from it. It's very skin tight. It has that like fold over where it's like it's almost like not a leotard, like a leotard in a way. Like it's I don't know, like yeah, it's very different to the way it is now. Where now it's like more armor, like army like.
This one feels quite a bit more simple, I guess, and I feel like it has less style to it. It's maybe more traditional. Maybe I'm sure it's based off of some comic book run in particular.
I think this was
I
them
like
trying
the
to
new
make
one
it
better.
I do too. I think they were trying to make it as close to the comics as possible with being realistic. I think what they do now is better, the more army approach.
Yeah.
I don't think it's funny when it first started, I was like, oh, that's an awesome suit, but as I saw the other one, I was like, yeah, I definitely prefer those ones.
The new suits, like you can see them and they look like they have a certain texture to them, you know?
Yeah, this one looks very like it doesn't look like it would protect him that much. It looks very. I guess maybe they could spin it that way, but this one looks almost like what he would have wore in the shows for the World War II. Remember when he does the propaganda?
Yes.
That's what that looks like. So maybe that's why they do even say like, "Hey, we made the suit," and he's like, "Oh, like the red and blue. That's a little old, right? Like old fashioned." And then Coulson has that great line. He's like, "We could use a little old fashioned."
Yeah.
So maybe it works for this movie as well. That's a little more, I think, on the cheesy side, and I think it honestly looks better. I don't know what's going on with his helmet. I think it looks better. That suit is fine with his helmet off. I think.
I
think
didn't really like the helmet a whole lot.
I think the helmet now is more army like, more advanced, like weapon based. This is just very. It's like Shellhead. Like I don't know, not Shellhead, but yeah.
Shellhead coming to theaters 2018.
The other thing I put was there's a lot of time after Thor gets put in that hole there and they ship him down. There's a lot of time he's just in that field standing around because so much has passed. They're talking about putting the team together. They're having all these conversations, and they show the montage of Cap getting ready, Hawkeye, and Hawkeye and Black Widow have that scene, which he just gets bumped in the head. I guess that's good enough. But anyways, they're all getting ready, and then when they show Thor getting ready, he's still just in that field. He's like, oh, he doesn't. I'm like, that's all he was doing for like half an hour, just standing in this field, like thinking about his thoughts. So.
Well, he's got an ego on him, I guess.
That is everything I have for my notes of the Avengers. I had a lot of them, but we covered them.
Well, we could talk about the post-credit scenes real quick. This
is the two things. One, it's definitely the birth of the thing I don't like of the comedic comic book end credit scene being last because this is the first movie with two. They do the big.
I don't remember ever actually seeing that one before. I think this is the first time I saw it.
Oh, really? The shawarma scene?
Or it's just boring, so I forgot about it.
I think it's a great scene. I just don't know if I liked what happened later on. Like I said, it kind of made this tradition of, oh, we got a funny one and we got that. I don't think we always need a funny one, but the Thanos scene is good. It just sets it up. It just that's kind of what I'm expecting to get at Infinity War 2 or Avengers 4. That thing of like, oh, this is what's next for us, but. That was, and the thing is, when I remember saw that, I thought for sure he was gonna be fucking the villain of Avengers 2. I didn't think we were gonna.
I have to wait so long.
Yeah, like, and
it's been years.
Yeah, I think in the waiting for fanboys, people can say, well, they should have waited, but now in the long run, it worked.
It did work.
Yeah, he just turns around and smiles, and the shawarma scene is, I think it's great. I think it's great for this movie. I don't think I need it more.
It is kind of funny. I like how Cap is kind of sitting there. He's like. Really distraught. He I don't know. I guess there was no food left for him or something. He's sitting on the sidelines.
Well, he also can't get drunk too, right? So it kind of sucks.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't suck. I don't drink, so don't do it.
Don't drink, kids.
Drugs for drugs.
Drugs for drugs. I do want to put it out there too that this is the movie that births Vulture.
True. Okay.
Yes.
I feel like.
They call back to this one for sure.
I guess I feel like he's just not something you need to shout out. As Spider-Man: Homecoming literally starts with him back at this movie, so I feel like the way you said it made it sound like, hey, guess what? Like this starts it, but you know what? Fun fact.
Yes.
Well done, Spider-Man.
You wouldn't know it without watching Spider-Man: Homecoming, but yeah. For
people who haven't seen Homecoming, why? Why is he connected? Why does
they're always like you.
He got. He got a big contract with the city to clean up all the alien equipment, and then Stark just comes in and says, no, it doesn't matter. I'm cleaning it up.
Bitch.
I'm taking all the attack.
Man, one time I want to see those two together. I don't know if we're going to get it, but I want to see Michael Keaton and Stark
You're not going to get it?
No, we're not going to get it. Stark's
not with men like you.
They could have a race just flying around. That'd be neat.
I think I remember beating
like Bird Flight, that VR game.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Flight, yes.
Eagle Flight.
It's just called
Flight.
Is
it? Flight. Yikes.
Pretty sure it's called fucking terrible game.
It might be good, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Do we have any other notes to say about Avengers?
How do you feel about that janitor? Well, son, you got a condition.
Big shout out to him. He passed away last year. He's a good actor.
Fudge.
I
don't remember the scene. Sorry. What scene?
Hulk fell through the roof and
it's
like, are you an alien? It's like, no. And the guy's like, well, son, you got a condition.
There's always men like you.
There's always men like that.
That's gonna be the new, from my point of view.
There's
always men like you. It's a
The
fun
combo meme.
It's
We
a
just
fun.
birthed the new Geek First meme.
It's a fun scene. I like the line.
I would agree. I think that's all I have to say on Avengers 1,
Yep.
the first Avengers.
Yeah, most of them I have final thoughts, but I don't. Well, there is a movie called Avengers, so be careful there.
Yeah, that one almost screwed me over when I was trying to find this one.
But I call it's Avengers, the first Avengers, you know?
Okay, it's actually Marvel's The Avengers.
Ah, darn.
Yeah, I've said everything I need to.
Nickelodeon's
Characters
The
are
Avengers.
great, storylines are great, the ones that it sets up, the ones that ends, the one that continues. The writing is great, the dialogue is quippy, there's some great intense moments, there's some comedic moments, there's some heartful moments. This film is everything you wanted to be and more. You already know that, I imagine, because this is a beloved film. For me, this is easily a 10 out of 10. This is a fantastic movie that the second it's over, I can watch it again. When you get that zoom out shot of Pepper and Tony putting together the thing in there, they've never done it yet, but in the comic books, they used to all get cards where they could be called or they could go swipe the Avengers Tower to go in, but they're making that. You see when they zoom out the A and they're going to make the Avengers Tower. And just that score of the Avengers theme is just playing and you just go,
The score is-
man, I can't wait to see what's next. And yeah, I didn't even shut that out. The score is fantastic. I think this is the one that, out of the first ones, it really, not counting Iron Man because that's more soundtrack, and I think the score is good there too. I like the Incredible Hulk score, but this one really, obviously they still use it, but it really stays put. There's a reason they're bringing Alan Silvestri back for Infinity War, I think, because they liked that style. So I think this movie, top to bottom, is great, and like I said, when it's zooming out, you just, man, I can't wait to see what's next. The better thing is, it's delivered. Yeah, there's been some movies that aren't knock out of the park like this, but it's been a great ride, and every time I see it, second this ends, I want to watch Iron Man 3. I want to watch it. Like, it gets me excited, and yeah, if you think it's a great superhero movie all the time, I can't say you're wrong, because it's easily up there. So
Yeah, I just have like a couple kind of like minor issues really, but like for the most part, thinking about like how I guess bold this was of a movie at the time, seeing all these characters. Obviously we've seen it now in like Civil War, how many characters is, and it seems like everyone gets their moment. In this movie, there's less characters than Civil War, but still like they're all, I mean, maybe with the lack of Hawkeye, they're all like really developed and kind of have a story, have some good moments, have some good fight scenes, have some good emotional scenes, and have good interactions between each other. And it's fun just to see them meeting each other for the first time too.
Yeah.
And it's a
Hulk's here.
Someone's meeting someone.
Hulk in the house.
Hulk in the house. It's still, this movie is still entertaining, still fun, and I still kind of pick out new little things each time I watch it. Till this day, 6 years later. So, well done, Marvel. You really killed it with it.
And the obvious point is just like, I didn't even show up, but just seeing those characters interact. It's just so much fun. Every time I still, even though now we've seen them for like so many years and they're friends now in the current movies and they know each other,
Well, it's 'cause
just seeing them meet each other for the first time again is always great. And a scene that I didn't show is I love when Thor and Cap are fighting in New York and Cap gets knocked down and Thor just pulls him up. He's like, "Oh, you ready for another?" And Cap's like, "Oh, I wouldn't have it any other way." And like, I got that like Legolas Gimli vibe of like, "Hey, we're having fun, but we're probably gonna die, but let's just do this." You know, like it's so good. It's so damn good. This movie.
Yes.
We started with you. We're finishing.
I think this movie is fantastic. Like when it came out in theaters, I went and saw it. It was great. And then when I asked my dad if he wanted to see it because I want to see it again, he said,
"No, leave me the fuck alone. I don't want to see these Dutch."
He said he already saw it. And he didn't ask me, so he saw it on his own.
Savage. That's not where I thought that story was
I'm
going.
not seeing it.
And then you said, "There's always men like you."
I'm not seeing this movie until I get my money back from the Dutch.
Oh,
There's always been like you, Dad.
There's always been like you. But I think this movie will stand as the best superhero movie of all time and the best Marvel movie yet.
Yet.
So,
Yet as
A
in...
blockbuster that will blow you all the way.
Do you mean yet as in like when this came out?
That's what, yeah.
Order-wise?
I think currently right now.
Yes.
Because if someone buys this off the shelf right now and they look and they see the best Marvel
No,
movie
that's
yet,
not how it
they're
works.
gonna say-
That is actually how it works.
That's how it works.
No.
But I think
There are always fuckers like you.
there's always fuckers like you.
There's always best movies like you.
Well, thank you. I think.
I guess.
Did you make Avengers? I don't think so. Shout out to Joss Whedon.
I think Joss Whedon. I mean, he couldn't replicate it for Justice League.
You had to throw it in there. Oh man, shit over Justice League so much, but I'm sorry. To me, when I watch Avengers, it's like, man, they really knocked it out of the park. And you see Justice League, you're like, man, that's the way it could have gone. And I'm sorry if you like Justice League, but that's the fucking truth. That is the truth. And the further we get away from Suicide Squad, just realize Jared Leto as the Joker is awful.
I'm not gonna disagree with these facts.
There's just people that come around like, yeah, it really wasn't that good. It's like, yeah, that's what I told you when the movie came out.
Those DC fuckboys. But, I think...
Always calling
It's
them.
always possible. It's like, okay.
I think, you know...
It's past Taylor time.
It's past Taylor time.
It is.
A scale of 1 to 6 Avengers.
I thought you were going to give it out of what? You might still give it 6 out of 6.
Well, what do you think I was going to give it?
I thought you'd give it 10 10, but now I think your scale is like, oh, I'm going to give it out of 6 because there's 6 Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give it 6 Avengers out of 6 Avengers.
So does that mean you gave Suicide Squad 10 Suicide Squatters out of 10 Suicide Squatters?
There's not 10 members of Suicide Squad.
Oh, God. I didn't actually get down that rabbit hole.
I'm gonna
Suicide
give this movie 5 super suits out of 5 super suits.
What are how many super suits are there?
There's 5 super suits
Honey.
on this rating scale.
Oh, my super
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I just made it up now. Anyway.
Well, we are not done, ladies and gentlemen. We're
No.
probably only halfway through the Marvel retrospective,
We're never
but
done.
there are no podcasts like us. Taylor Field, where can they find us? There are, but no one that brings this level.
We are the only podcast on the internet with a Taylor Field.
And we're the only podcast that
Boom.
is making a meme out of There Only Men Like You. I can promise you that. No podcast.
And combining it with the Star Wars meme
Yeah,
as well.
that one's a popular one, but
But we're combining.
Yeah.
Like, that's revolutionary meme technology.
Yeah, we did what the Avengers did for podcasts.
Yeah.
Did something you never thought could be done.
Mm-hmm.
Big combinations.
Big combinations.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Are you just going to read off the description of the movie or something?
Marvel makes cinematic history. That's pretty impressive.
They were really cocky about
Geek First makes an outstanding podcast.
Unprecedented masterpiece. Joss Whedon creates an unprecedented
Okay,
masterpiece.
tell me
No, that was the
That's
review.
not-
That was the review of
I
our
guarantee
podcast.
Justice League won't have that on the back of his cover.
It'll just have, this movie was alright at best.
There's always movies like this. But we got Wonder Woman, so give us your money.
Yes, ladies and
Facebook.
gentlemen, all you fans and fandangos out there, you can tune in
Nice one.
on
No, that's not nice.
your internet
That's as good as your.
connection.
That's not a party. That's not a party line.
There's always
Parties.
I won that there's always line for tonight. Give it up.
So yeah, with your internet connection, your Tesseract power, and your arrows that shoot into 3 outlets and hack, you can go find us.
That's true. That's probably it. We should make an arrow that subscribes to our podcast or something.
You can find us on Google. You go Google, you type in Facebook, and when you go into Facebook, you type in the search bar, Geekverse space podcast space bar, not the space word. You gotta do that because it'll take you somewhere. I still haven't checked it out. I'll go do that tonight maybe if I have time. I don't know. We'll see. And then once you get onto our Facebook page, you're gonna find all this awesome content like the Marvel Retrospectives. You're
Yes.
gonna find all of the stuff like the dynamic duos, right? That's good. You're gonna find
That's good, right? Waka waka.
There's gonna be running around.
It's
There's
my
gonna be- Gauntlet stuff is coming up.
Gauntlet.
Holy
Always.
I think when this releases, you have a title match coming up with Tyler Briggs, or you're either a champion or you've lost. But either way, there's some big
One
stuff.
of 3 things could happen.
Yeah, and go find out because there's some big stuff popping.
We legitimately do not know.
Go over to Patreon.
Oh, that was a
Go
big
over
risk.
Go over to Patreon if you like what we do here. You could be listening to this weeks early. You'd be listening to this when we recorded it. It's a good time.
That's not, well,
Shut up.
it's close to true. I'll give you that.
$1 gets you a huge amount of content. $5 gets you everything from Gauntlet, Spider-Man Retrospective. Maybe there's going to be a Rod or Not up there every once in a
When
while.
is this debuting?
I don't know. I think it's February.
Oh, because Valentine's Roadrunner is almost edited and coming out.
Oh, almost edited. Wow. But we thank you very much for tuning into this. Please subscribe. If you cannot support us on Patreon, that's fine. Give us a subscription. Give us a review. Give us a like. That helps us grow the channel. That helps us do more spin-off shows. There's lots of stuff we want to do. We can only do it with your help. Your support for this show has been amazing. It's great. The numbers for our retrospective, we're really happy with it. We want to hear more from you guys. Do you agree with us? Do you think there's more men like you out there? You let us know. And until then, have a marvelous time.
And we'll see you in the post-credits scene.
I think it was just post-credits. You and I added scene. Legitimately, I think it's just post-credits.
But
God damn it! I'm never gonna get this right!
Have you included like one of those post-credit random conversations on every one of these episodes?
Yeah, I was proud that you did too. I checked the audio one.
Yeah.
On Thor, I'm like, oh, I bet he did. I bet I'm gonna have to go fix this, and he did. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the best because it's us talking about the fact that we are. Yeah, it's very meta.
I've done them both. Showing Dylan pictures of her dick again.
See, like,
It's Bionicle.
I don't think these.
see, but
memes
that's
are
a really
25%
really lazy meme.
Yeah.
That's a really lazy meme because it's just lazy.
That's the problem with the memes you send us. They're not. I don't think they're that high quality of memes. It's funny that they're Bionicle, but like they're just Bionicle.
That's the thing. Some memes, like just by the nature of like what it is, like the quality of the meme doesn't actually matter. It's like the source material. Like actually, when the Bionicles memes were first popping up, when I saw them like 2 years ago, I thought they were hilarious.
2 years ago, yeah.
Just because
You're
they
still
were
living in that.
Bionicles, you know. But I don't know where I'm going with this. That Connect 4 one was lazy, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Damn.
Is this chair gonna survive this cast?
Does it feel like it won't? Because I can get another one.
No, it should be.
Those chairs are garbage, and I need to get new ones. But
You guys gotta buy some new ones.
But
for sure.
they cost money, so.
Yeah. Well, that's why you gotta go shake it
Is it like a?
at the strip club.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, yeah, because they would hire me at the strip club for sure.
You want to finish your conversation with Jessica?
Whoa!
Wow, for those, yeah,
Sneak peek.
that was a
Jesus.
very sassy look, and I think you really betrayed Taylor's trust.
It's a sad.
We're on the
I'm
same
his partner.
team, damn it.
You told me you're talking to Jessica.
I have a big gripe against people who are phone peekers.
And why do you not have me on your background on your phone instead of your girlfriend?
Wow.
Well, you never send me pictures of you anymore.
Anymore.
Or the ones he does actually have clothes on.
Oh, you're gonna get some pictures alright in the next few weeks.